We need to build a wall, and it has to be built quickly.
Good morning. It is 9:07 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? My name's Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by our friends at Better Water LLC. Water filtration systems, water softeners, you get those at betterwater.com. We got a lot to get to today. It seems like the media doesn't know where they're going with Donald Trump. A couple weeks ago, he was going to start World War III, and now it's he can't end a war to save his life. Which is it? Which is it? The media reporting of the Russia-Ukraine negotiations has been abysmal at best, and I think that's putting it lightly. It does seem like the American media is rooting against a peaceful solution to what's happening in Russia and Ukraine. They're rooting against the ending of the killing, and it just makes you wonder why. Is your hatred for that man that sits at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue so vast, so deep, that you would cut off your own nose to spite your face? The answer is yes. I mean, the answer to all things, yes. The TDS is so bad that they don't know what to do with themselves. And Caroline Leavitt yesterday, she opened the press briefing destroying the legacy media on about, I don't know, a couple-minute rant. And I say rant, but really she was just dropping facts about how the legacy media has destroyed their own credibility by how they cover the president and how they cover his efforts to bring about peace. It was brilliance by Caroline Leavitt in the White House press briefing room. She didn't let up, and she held them all accountable for how they're covering everything.
One thing that has absolutely not changed is the media's negative and downright false coverage of President Trump and his foreign policy accomplishments. From the beginning of this entire process, much of the left-wing media has been actively rooting against the President of the United States in the pursuit of peace. Yep. Initially, the media ridiculously claimed that President Trump was somehow beholden to Russia for even agreeing to have a face-to-face discussion with President Putin inside of the United States. The media said President Trump was making a grave mistake by, quote, legitimizing Putin. They were aghast that President Trump would treat another world leader like a world leader. The media relentlessly attacked President Trump and claimed he suffered a, quote, major defeat for not immediately emerging with a final agreement, even though he said heading into that meeting, this was a meeting to listen and to understand how to move the ball forward. All weekend following those historic U.S.-Russia bilateral talks, we listened to clueless pundits on television trying but failing to claim that the president had failed.
I mean, all weekend long. That's not an understatement. Nicole Wallace went on MSNBC and said, Donald Trump doesn't give a shh about democracy. Losing her mind. Trump has predicted that she'll be the next to be fired. Yeah, I could see that happening. But there's many members of the media that deserve to be fired after the way they've covered this.
The so-called experts in the foreign policy establishment, whose record is nothing but endless wars, trillions of wasted taxpayer dollars, and dead Americans, have the nerve to try and lecture President Trump, who has solved 7 global conflicts in 7 months, about peace. This is the same president, by the way, who brokered the Abraham Accords in his first term, on top of more than half a dozen other peace deals this year alone, as I just said. We also saw yesterday the president of Ukraine and all of the other major leaders of Europe fly across the Atlantic Ocean to meet President Trump at the White House because of the progress that was made, and that, if you ask the media, failed meeting, but it was not. It was.
I mean, that's the biggest tell. It was a failed meeting. Nothing got done. Meanwhile, the world leaders are assembling and descending upon Washington. He failed. Explain this to me. Can anybody explain this? Have we ever seen world leaders mobilize in such a short span? They said it took 36 hours from the time they ended the meeting to when the world leaders were at the White House, and they had to get everything ready in the meantime. Like that pace is unmatched. I've never seen it done before. Only President Trump.
Was highly productive, and it was successful. This is why Americans' trust in the mass media is at a lowest point in more than 5 decades.
Yep.
Diplomacy is a delicate process, and instead of reporting the facts about what is happening here at this White House and what is happening between this president and other leaders around the world, many outlets in this room continue to try to actively undermine the president and sabotage the efforts towards peace.
She's right. She's right. And even after she dressed down the media yesterday inside the press briefing room, there were still reporters in there trying to push their own narrative, including one Jackie Heinrich. And Jackie Heinrich is supposed to be on Fox News. It's like, with friends like these, who needs enemies? Jackie Heinrich doesn't really believe that Putin wouldn't have invaded Russia, wouldn't have invaded Ukraine had Donald Trump been president. She literally said this yesterday during the White House press briefing. She said, since the president often said this war wouldn't have started if he were in office, and Carolyn Levitt says it's true. You accept that as true, right? That's what Putin said. That's just the truth. Listen to Jackie Heinrich's response.
Since the president often says that this war would not have started if he were in office, and
True.
And Putin confirmed that.
It's true. Do you accept that as truth? The
Probably.
European leaders do.
Well,
And
She said probably. Probably. Yep. Jackie Heinrich, ladies and gentlemen. Smartest woman in the room. So smart that she knows better than all the world leaders, President Trump and Vladimir Putin. She's brilliant. Do you believe that? Probably. She's so salty. There's a lot of people that are so salty. A lot of celebrities are very salty over what's been happening with these peace deals. And I wonder if the celebrities realize that nobody cares about them. You got Mark Hamill out there talking crap. You got George Takei out there talking crap, saying Trump would concede at the table what Russia could not take on the battlefield. Americans should not accept this from a weak-ass president. Are these people serious? Yeah. Let's continue to let the meat grinder commence in Eastern Europe. That's what they're rooting for. And I don't know how true these numbers are, but there's some reporting on X that says Russian hackers have infiltrated the general staff of the Ukrainian armed forces. And this is what the report says, that they've uncovered a database that reveals that Ukraine has suffered 1.7 million servicemen killed or missing during the special military operation, far exceeding any publicly reported figures. If these numbers are true, it's devastating for Ukraine. And the media is still rooting for this to continue, and I'm sorry, they're not going to win. The only thing that can come of this is more lost fathers, sons, brothers. That's it. They're not winning. Donald Trump understands that. The European leaders understand that. I think Zelensky understands that. And while Donald Trump pushes the door open to peace, the media still persists in bucking against it. It's unbelievable. But these hacked digital records, man, crazy stuff. They say that over 3 years, the Ukrainian military lost 1,721,000 personnel, 1.721. with annual breakdowns as follows. They lost 118,000 in 2022, 405,000 in 2023, 595,000 in 2024, and in 2025, 621,000. But the media, the media says Donald Trump doesn't know what's going on. The media says that he failed. I look left, I look right, I see only one guy trying. The media doesn't give a damn. It's crazy. It's crazy. And it's still going on. Nicole Wallace on MSNBC had Susan Rice on. And Susan Rice kicks off her analysis of the Russia-Ukraine peace deals by, as Western Lensman on Twitter put it, regurgitating the Russia hoax. And it's like, of course. President Trump is trying to get the killing to stop. Susan Rice is worried about Russia. Got it. Priorities.
Nicole, it's pathetic. It's been clearly and repeatedly established, including by the bipartisan Senate Intelligence Committee led by Marco Rubio, that Russia interfered in the 2016 election by disinformation campaigns, by social media efforts, by all sorts of means short of manipulating the actual vote. And that's just a fact. Now, obviously, Donald Trump doesn't like that fact. He doesn't like the fact that the intelligence community and the Senate bipartisan Intelligence Committee assessed that this interference was intended to not only sow distrust in our democracy, but to benefit Donald Trump. But all of that really is beside the point. We are in 2025, and Donald Trump professes to be committed to trying to bring peace to Ukraine in the wake of Russia's brutal, years-long invasion. And rather than put the sort of pressure on Putin and Russia that is necessary to move Putin towards peace, stronger sanctions, secondary sanctions on the major suppliers of Russia, as well as the purchasers of Russian oil and gas, giving Ukraine the military hardware in the quantities with the reliability that it needs to strengthen its position on the battlefield, instead of doing the things that would strengthen the Ukrainian, Western, NATO, U.S. partnership on their side of the table against Putin. He is rolling out the red carpet, doing military flyovers, giving him a ride in the presidential limousine, and getting none of what he went to Alaska to get. No ceasefire.
Oh, yeah. No ceasefire. That's what they... Yeah. Now, Susan Rice, who is clearly nervous about the Russia investigations, left out the fact that Tulsi Gabbard terminated 37 security clearances for intelligence officers yesterday. That they breezed over that. When she talks about the Russia-Ukrainian conflict, and she says, President Trump hasn't done anything for them. There's no secondary sanctions. There was secondary sanctions. There's a lot of sanctions on Russia. Yet, when you're trying to negotiate towards peace, it's not the best time for it, Susan. Duh. She said, what about giving them the hardware? Donald Trump gave them the Javelin missiles. Donald Trump got NATO defense spending up by all the NATO members to 5%. What on earth are you talking about? He didn't get a ceasefire. Okay, got it.
Fire. No imposition of tough consequences and sanctions. It was, as I said earlier, it was just melting. And it's very worrying. It's very discouraging. And it calls into question, the president's willingness and ability to achieve a just peace.
Oh, yeah. Willingness and ability to achieve a just peace. Okay, got it. Another failed Obama administration official talking out both sides of her mouth. Got it. Just lying on MSNBC. Is anybody shocked why MSNBC is just going down the toilet, circling the drain? Why they're going to have to rebrand as MS Now? It's not going to change anything on that network until you change the anchors and you change the guests. But this woman, he's not doing anything except all the things he already did. Oh, weird. Oh, and he rolled out the red carpet, and he gave a military flag. He was displaying American military strength. That flyover, the precision involved in that, completely misses the point. Completely misses the point. But this is what we're up against. This is what we're up against. Yet the president knows that, and he still pushes on. He does. Yesterday, after they had a great conversation, Monday, after the great conversation with world leaders, President Trump had a phone call with Putin. Caroline Levitt talking about that.
Following the encouraging conversations yesterday, President Trump spoke with President Putin by phone, and he agreed to begin the next phase of the peace process, a meeting between President Putin and President Zelensky, which would be followed, if necessary, by a trilateral meeting between President Putin, President Zelensky, and President Trump. As the president said, Vice President Vance, Secretary Rubio, and Special Envoy Witkoff will continue to coordinate with Russia and Ukraine to make this happen as soon as possible.
And that's what we all want. We want an end to the war as soon as possible. The media in the press briefing room didn't want to let up. They had all sorts of questions. Why did you take the phone call with Putin in private if you're all about transparency? That's literally what one reporter asked. This is what they're asking. I'm going to play you the audio when we get back. There's a lot more to go through. Plus, we got updates on the investigations. I do want to talk about Tulsi Gabbard terminating those 37 security clearances. That's big news. Now, I want to give you some updates on what's happening with the deep state actors sabotaging elections. That's Tulsi Gabbard's words, not mine. And we'll bring it all to you on the way. Hang out with us. It's 9:22. This is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. But a lot of these protesters are paid. There's a story, Crowds on Demand CEO, 400% increase, surge for requests for paid protesters.
Yep. protester requests have increased 400% since President Trump announced the federal takeover of D.C.'s police department.
No, none of this. I mean, we've seen this time and time again, where they've got all of these different protests and it goes on. I swear it feels like it's every couple of weeks they've got another protest going on.
It is time to unite, not to fight each other the way they want us to do.
And they keep offering, looking for people to protest. And I don't think there's this groundswell of anger that they're trying to convince the American people that there is.
Coming up, the TSA is making more changes to speed up security lines at the airport. We've got that story and more coming up at 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan Jones. 927 Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? It's Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC. Love those guys. If you need a water filtration system, get it at betterwater.com. You can listen to us anywhere. iHeartRadio, tune in, the FM dial. We appreciate you guys listening. You can watch us as well. YouTube and Rumble. Hit like, hit subscribe. Why would you want to watch a radio show on your TV? We got video for all the audio that you hear on your radio. Adds an extra element. It does.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's so good. Like when Susan Rice is talking about both sides of her mouth and looking like a lunatic. The visual aspect, it really does help. It really does help.
Changes the game.
Seems like everybody in the YouTube chat likes it, except for the liberal that we got rolling around, Mark.
Glad you're here.
Glad you're here, Mark. I've requested for him to call in several times. He's in the YouTube chat, causing a stir. I said, call in, Mark. And then he started calling me mean names that I can't read on the air. If you want to see the mean names, though, all you got to do is hop on the YouTube page. They're in the chat. We're not blocking it. We're pro free speech.
Yeah, we're here for it.
I'll take all the slings and arrows and dumb nicknames I haven't heard since high school. Got it. And we're talking about what's going on in Russia and Ukraine. The peace deal does seem like we're getting closer to it. We're probably a couple weeks away, let's be perfectly honest. And also, it might not happen. But there's one guy in D.C. who is doing his damnedest to make sure it does, and that's President Donald J. Trump. And the media is not giving him a fair shake when it comes to what he's doing and his efforts in the peace process. They're just not. They're just not. Even yesterday in the press briefing room, you have reporters, and I believe that this reporter is from the failing New York Times, asking what indications is the president getting from Putin that he wants to have a meeting with Zelensky soon. And Caroline Levitt's like, well, he spoke to him on the phone. That's what he said.
What indications is the president getting from Putin that he wants to have this meeting with Zelensky soon? Because he spoke to him directly yesterday.
And he expressed that
Haley,
rather than later.
He spoke to that directly yesterday, and the president put that in his statement that he gave to all of you, the news media, knowing you'd be asking following that conversation in the effort of transparency.
What a beat. We gave it to you guys. And had you read the readout and done your job as a reporter, you wouldn't need to waste our time in the press briefing room with a stupid question that we already answered previously. Yet this is the mainstream media in 2025. And that's all they're about. Stupid questions to further a narrative. It's 9:30. This is Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. That crash on I-65 northbound near Franklin this morning has finally been cleared. It is still quite slow in that area. However, this is the first day in a while that we're not seeing extreme heat warnings in our forecast. Here's Channel 4's Stefano DiPietro.
Low to mid 90s this afternoon, so it is still hot. We have not completely lost the heat by any means or the humidity, but it's a little more bearable than it's been.
Yeah, and we're going to have some increased chances of thunderstorms today as well. We've got more in the forecast coming up. More information now on a hit and run on I-65 that happened early yesterday morning. Here's Channel 4's Tracy Cornett.
Police say just before midnight, a man was sitting in a lane on I-65 North under Dickerson Pike with his back to traffic. One driver pulled to the right shoulder to help him. After that, another car then hit the man and drove off. The man was pulled by the other driver to safety before he was taken to the hospital. Investigators have not given us a description of the car that drove off.
The man who was hit was in critical condition. The TSA making yet another change to speed up security checkpoints, launching a new e-gate program for Clear Plus members. Flyers through these e-gates can use a biometric scanner and just walk right through.
The new e-gates join other options available to flyers to get through security faster. This comes at a time when travel is booming. TSA reports 7 of its 10 busiest travel days ever were this year alone. And next year, millions will travel for soccer's World Cup here in the U.S. and the country's 250th birthday.
ABC's Lionel Moisey, an injured hiker rescued from a remote area of the Great Smoky Mountains National Park last night, and he was flown to the University of Tennessee Medical Center in Knoxville. That rescue performed by the Tennessee National Guard, which says it was able to recover and transport that man in under an hour and a half. No word on his condition this morning. Stocks are on losing ground today. The Dow Jones Industrial's down 147. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Let's talk about the Democratic frontrunner for mayor of Minneapolis, shall we? His name is Omar Fateh, and he held a big rally in Minneapolis. And I don't know if you can tell by the video, but there's a stunning lack of American flags and a stunning lack of English being spoken at this rally. Now, the reason Omar is the frontrunner is because the last mayor, Jacob Fry, wasn't woke enough.
As for cooperation with ICE, the answer is no.
This is a guy who actually cried at George Floyd's golden casket. Still not woke enough. Now, the uproar online led to some great questions from one Charlie Kirk. I want to know what you think about it in the comments. Charlie says, how are these people bettering America? Does it look like these people in Minneapolis are assimilating to American culture? And then we have to ask a very important question. What is an American? 937 Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? It's Chris Hand. The show is brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. You can listen to us anywhere, iHeartRadio, tune in the FM dial. You can watch us, YouTube, Rumble, hit like, hit subscribe. Got a lot of kids to feed. Got a lot of kids to feed. Those likes, those subscribes, man. It helps. It helps. We can put some jam on that bread if you hit like and subscribe. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Wait, you going to say something?
I was just going to say.
I saw you thinking about it.
Never mind. You say bread and jam?
Yeah, we'll put a little jam on it.
Yeah. I thought I heard you say jam for sure. And I was like, oh, yesterday was ice. They're stepping up.
Well, that's for the water.
Oh, okay.
We'll freeze it up into ice chips.
That makes sense. I thought it was like bread ice sandwiches.
Ooh, that's
ice sandwiches, not ice cream sandwiches.
Ice sandwiches. I left out the cream. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
What are you
saying to that? Hey, real quick, got a text here, 3560. Donnie B, loyal listener, Donnie B, celebrating his 50th birthday, and he wants a shout out. And I said absolutely not. So I'm just kidding.
Don't do that here.
Happy birthday, Donnie. We appreciate you, man, listening. As always, we are anecdotally the #1 show for people celebrating their 50th birthday.
Can't argue with that.
I mean, the evidence.
Can't argue.
The evidence is there.
It's overwhelming.
It's anecdotal, and we lean on that. We lean on that. A lot of stuff to cover. We're talking about. Really, I'm playing some of the highlights from the press briefing yesterday with Caroline Leavitt versus the mainstream media, because the mainstream media can't give President Trump credit for anything, not a dang thing. They're also upset whenever he puts wins on the board. And spoiler alert, in the last 7 months, he's been putting a lot of wins on the board, and it's making them very, very upset. But yesterday, a couple big things at the press briefing room. Did you see who was there in the new media seat? Friend of the show, Jack Posobiec, was in the new media seat. And Jack Posobiec asked about what does these security guarantees look like? Like, if the security guarantees are there, are we talking boots on the ground? And I think that's a good question. If they have Article 5-like protections for NATO and they get attacked, they get invaded, does that mean that we're pulled into a conflict boots on the ground? It's an important question.
The president has definitively stated U.S. boots will not be on the ground in Ukraine, but we can certainly help in the coordination and perhaps provide other means of security guarantees to our European allies. The president understands security guarantees are crucially important to ensure a lasting peace, and he has directed his national security team to coordinate with our friends in Europe and also to continue to cooperate and discuss these matters with Ukraine and Russia as well.
No boots on the ground. Love, love, love. Thank you. Thank you. That's the last thing we want. I would rather bring all of our soldiers home as opposed to having any boots on the ground. But more details under the negotiation coalition of the willing security force to be deployed in Ukraine. Breitbart has it this way. On a deterrence mission in the event of an agreement with Moscow engaged on Tuesday morning, as President Trump gave an absolute guarantee that there would be no American troops on the ground. When asked during a Fox News interview whether he would be able to guarantee no Americans would be in harm's way, President Trump did confirm that. This was yesterday as well, confirming that on Fox News with Fox and Friends. This is what that interview sounded like.
What did the other leaders tell you? Because it seemed to be, this is unlike the first Trump term. There was great unity that was there, and we saw their public comments. But when you got them in the Oval Office, we have this photo of you sitting at the Resolute desk, and all of these world leaders are sitting in front of you. What did they say to you privately? Because it looks like they're on the same page as you, sir.
I mean, let's be honest. It looked like Donald Trump was telling them what to do. If you see the photos floating around from the Oval Office with the world leaders assembled around the Resolute desk, it looks like they're following Trump's lead. And if you're watching on the YouTube stream, you'll be able to see this picture on your screen. It looks like the world leaders are saying, yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can do that. We can make that happen. And we've seen Donald Trump apply pressure to these allies, get their defense spending up for NATO. And we've seen Donald Trump apply pressure to Zelensky, and we're seeing Donald Trump apply pressure to Putin. And the media hates it.
Yeah, they are. They're very good people. They're very good leaders of their countries, and they want to get back to leading their country. You know, they're consumed far more with this than we are because they're right there. You know, we have an ocean that's separating us, right? thing called an ocean, a big, beautiful ocean.
A thing called an ocean. Maybe you've heard of it. Maybe you've heard of it.
And they don't. They're right there. So they have to. It's a different kind of a thing for them. When it comes to security, they're willing to put people on the ground. We're willing to help them with things, especially probably if you talk about by air, because nobody has the kind of stuff we have. Really, they don't have. But I don't think it's going to be a problem. I think if a deal is made, famous last words, right? But I think if a deal is made, I think Russia's had it. They've all had it. And for a very extended period of time, I don't think there'll be a problem. But there'll be some form of security. It can't be NATO because that's just not something that would ever happen. They couldn't do that. So who would want that? I mean, if you were Russia, who would want to have your enemy, your opponent, sitting on your line? You don't do that. So it was always thought that Ukraine was sort of a buffer between Russia and the rest of Europe. And it was a big, wide buffer. Everything worked out well until Biden got involved. When Biden gave them $100 billion right up front, I don't give them anything. I don't know if you know it, but since I've been there, we don't pay. First of all, I made a deal to take rare earth. That's the equivalent of much more than the $350 billion that Biden got away, because I felt so foolish. It was so stupid what he did. And I was able to make a deal with Ukraine, and they were very nice. They have great rare earth, among the best in the world. And we took much more than the $350 billion, and they were great about it. So we got that, handled. But now we don't pay any money to Ukraine. They buy through NATO, because I got NATO to go from 2% to 5%, 2% when they didn't pay, 2% of GDP, 2% when they didn't pay, and 5% now they do pay. So it's trillions of dollars. So what we do is we make the equipment, the military equipment, and sell it at a full price. We sell it to the NATO. We sell it to NATO, and NATO pays us immediately. And that's the way it's working. And then NATO takes it and does what they want with it, because they really have the right to do what they want with it. But for the most part, they give it to Ukraine.
So President Trump,
so we're not losing. We're not like we were with Biden, where we were paying hundreds of billions of dollars out. We're paying nothing.
No, and we're not going to have any boots on the ground. We can help them from a military equipment standpoint. We can get them weapons, and President Trump did say maybe planes overhead, but that's the max. That's it. We're not going any further. Biden, on the other hand, I mean, there's audio going around. The internet lives forever, where he says it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when Ukraine joins NATO. And we all know that started under the Democrats. We understand that all of this land has been taken under Democrat rule. And it seems like Putin does respect Donald Trump a little bit more than he respected Biden, and definitely more than he respected Obama. But what they're saying is if you're going to have boots on the ground, it's going to be European boots. Let's be honest. Promises that America would ride to the rescue if Ukraine needs it, if the war restarted and the European army started taking casualties. Maybe if it really got bad down the road, you might see something. But in the interim, currently, as it stands, no boots on the ground. None. I'm a huge fan of that. Give them some security guarantees. Do what you need to do to get the deal done. And then let's all move on. Can we do that? That's what I want. I think that this war has been going on for far too long. Far too long. But President Trump is out there and he's negotiating. And I think if anybody has a chance, it's going to be him. Carolyn Levitt yesterday at the press briefing room saying that ultimately the president said that there are areas of disagreement that they're going to be working through.
Can you explain how this went from a trilateral meeting involving President Trump to now the focus being on this bilateral meeting without the president first? Well, look, the president has spoken to both leaders about this, and both leaders have expressed a willingness to sit down with each other. And so our national security team will help both countries do that. Ultimately, the president has always said that there are areas of disagreement in this war that will have to be discussed and decided upon by these two countries. And so he wants these two countries to engage in direct diplomacy. He's said that from the very beginning, which is why he's agreeable to the idea of having President Zelensky and President Putin get together. And I understand accommodations for that meeting are underway. As soon as we hear more details, we'll be sure to let all of you know.
I mean, listen, things are moving fast. It does seem like we're having a snowball effect where you have Putin in, then you have the world leaders in Zelensky, and now you're going to get a Zelensky-Putin meeting and then a trilat. But the reporters don't seem to care about that at all. They just are looking for angles and reasons to bludgeon Trump. One reporter said, well, if you're trying to get everybody on the same page, why is it that Mr. President took his phone call with Putin in private?
If the point is to get everybody on the same page, why wouldn't Trump just take the call from Putin while the other leaders were in the room? He said it would be disrespectful to do that. But why is it disrespectful?
With all due respect, only a reporter from the New York Times would ask a question like that, Sean.
Oh, jeez. Stop. He's down already.
That's a nasty one. That's nasty.
We're in the room. He said it would be disrespectful to do that. But why is it disrespectful?
With all due respect, only a reporter from the New York Times would ask a question like that, Sean. The president met with all of these European leaders at the White House 48 hours after sitting down with President Putin on American soil. In fact, there was so much progress in the readout that was given to these European leaders immediately following his meeting with President Putin that every single one of them got on a plane 48 hours later and flew to the United States of America. And if I could just read for all of you some of the statements from those European leaders yesterday, you had President Zelensky himself saying it was a very good conversation. It was really good. We spoke about very sensitive points. The Secretary General, Mark Rutte, it was the president, only because of the president, that this deadlock was broken, but with President Putin by starting a dialogue. So these leaders, who this war is in their backyard, are very grateful that the president took that call and that he was there to provide them with a readout of Russia's thinking on this, something that was not done by the previous administration at all.
Boom. Roasted. That's Caroline Leavitt. And again, it does seem like President Trump is not looking to walk away from this conflict empty-handed. You heard him during the Fox News interview saying how much rare earth minerals we're going to be getting from Ukraine. Scott Bessent was echoing the same thing. And I've often said with the war in Iraq, you know, everybody always said, "Oh, we're blood for oil. We're going after all their oil reserves and yada yada yada, all the things, right?" But we never got any of that stuff. We never got any of it. President Trump is not going to walk away from this conflict empty-handed. Scott Bessent was on Fox News last night with Laura Ingraham, and he said, actually, this could pay off big for the American people, what's happening in Ukraine.
Since he got into the Oval on January 20th, President Trump has been talking about not sending any more money to Ukraine. We did this economic partnership, which once this conflict stops, could pay off big for the American taxpayer. We can recoup our investment. If Ukraine does well, we do well. If the conflict stops, and the conflict's got to stop for the economic partnership to really kick in, we're going to start with some investments now. So I think President Trump is very vigilant. Right now, we are selling arms to the Europeans, who are then selling them on to the Ukrainians.
It's going to pay off big for the Americans. Once we get in here and we get those rare earth minerals, Donald Trump is not going to walk away from this conflict with no ROI. That $350 billion that has been spent furthering this war and causing death and destruction, at the very least, it's not going to be all for naught. We're going to get something out of this, and the left just can't seem to wrap their head around that. They're very, very upset. I saw one clip yesterday, Scott Jennings just dropping doses of reality on the liberals on CNN, which, I mean, it seems part and parcel for the course with one Scott Jennings. But when you hear how he lays it out in plain English, you're going to be chuckling as well. I'll play you that clip when we get back. Then we'll talk about some investigation updates. 37 intelligence officials have had their security clearances revoked via Tulsi Gabbard. Why is that? We'll break all that down and more on the way. Hang out with us. It's 9:51. This is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand, and I want to invite you to Bobcat Dirt Days. It's happening on Friday, September 12th from 10 to 3 at every Bobcat location in Middle Tennessee and the ones in Southern Kentucky. Brought to you by your regional Bobcat compact equipment dealers. It's their way of saying thank you to the construction and land moving pros who keep our communities growing. They're going to have attendance prizes all day, 10% off all in-stock genuine Bobcat parts, and 1 extra day free on all weekly machine rentals booked by September 30th. Plus, you'll be able to test your skills in the Operator Skills Contest for a shot to win big snacks and drinks on Bobcat. So swing by on your break to any of their locations so that way you can refuel. Now, I'm going to be broadcasting my show live from 9 to noon at the location in Laverne. We want to see you there. You can enter to win one of 2 Bobcat commercial mowers just by stopping by on September 12th. I'll be broadcasting live. You can stop by any Bobcat location to win, and you can learn more about Bobcat, one tough animal, at bobcatgdn.com.
Did you see this lunatic?
What's wrong with me? Oh, hey, smile for the camera, you little Nazi
That's
bitch.
enough.
Kill all Nazis. We won World War II. Fuck you. Kill all Nazis.
So that is a crazed leftist yelling at a Republican and calling him Nazis. When will the Democrats understand calling Republicans Nazis is anti-Semitic? Because when you do that, what you're doing is sanitizing what Adolf Hitler and the Nazis did. That, my friends, is anti-Semitic.
Kill all Nazis. We won World War II. Fuck you. Kill all Nazis.
Should kids be on this platform, period?
No, it's not worth it. It's only going to create headaches for you.
Roblox itself, it is a predator haven. There are games on Roblox like XYZ Public Bathroom Simulator. It has about 7 million visits, and the whole premise of the game is showering together with kids.
It's basically open season for sex predators on this app. For this reason and all of the others that we've talked about today, Roblox is violating Louisiana law.
If you join it, you're going to see predators, you're going to see naked avatars, you're going to see people peeing and all this sort of weird stuff. If I was a parent and I saw that, I would be outraged. I would be totally outraged. And parents aren't aware of this.
Because there is so much content and it's so difficult to monitor, and there's, 40% of their users are under the age of 13. Of course, it's a place where predators have learned how to network and gather and groom children.
Coming up, what Tennessee may be poised to do about illegal aliens driving tractor trailers on our highways. And what's with all the black paint at the southern border? Those stories coming up at 10 o'clock here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Huge fan of the black paint. Heard the reason earlier. Not going to spoil it, but I like it.
It's good.
It's good. It's good. It's good.
Yeah.
9:58, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Joan Jones going to bless you with those headlines in a mere couple minutes. In the meantime, though, I wanted to play you this clip from Scott Jennings, who just brings a big bag of reality with him every time he goes to CNN. And somehow he always seems to be able to refill the bag before his next shift. And every single time, liberal heads explode. So last night, CNN, Scott Jennings looked at a liberal and said, "You have to just accept the world as it is." She doesn't want to. None of these liberals do.
You have to accept the world as it is. This is not going to end any other way than a negotiated peace. The only people to negotiate with here are the people involved. Putin and Zelensky. He met with Putin. He then brings Zelensky and the European allies to the White House. It was a show of strength last night. And now the fact that there's news leaking out that they are discussing security guarantees for Ukraine ought to tell you how serious he is about ending this in a way that meets the administration's stated goal, a free and sovereign Ukraine that is an ally of the United States. You have to accept
That's it. That's really what you need to do. Accept the world as it is. Accept these peace deals as they're being laid out. Zelensky, you're not going to get everything you want. Russia's not going to get everything they want. The best way to spot a good deal is when both sides are upset. We'll see what happens. Pray for peace. That's all we can do. In the meantime, I want to talk about Tulsi Gabbard and these 37 security clearances that have been terminated. We'll lead with that story when we get back after the headlines with Joan Jones, which starts right now on Super Talk. On Super Talk.
I could just take it from here.
Mason, I think the computer just crashed on Mason.
Yeah, that's okay.
It happens.
All right, let's just do this, shall we? I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. President Trump is defining the U.S. role in security guarantees for Ukraine. The Wall Street Journal reporting today the U.S. would use air power to support European security forces in Ukraine. But there is no clarity on whether that means warplanes, air defense systems, or surveillance drones, or maybe even a combination of all three. President Trump has confirmed there will be no U.S. boots on the ground. The CEO of private prison company CoreCivic, based in Brentwood, is stepping down after 16 years at the helm. Damon Hinninger is his name. He's overseen a sharp rise in the company's profits as ICE became its biggest customer. However, the Justice Department launched a civil rights investigation into Trousdale Turner Correctional Facility last year amid reports of violence, drug overdoses, and chronic understaffing. Nashville has the distinction of charging more than almost every other city in the nation for rideshare trips to the airport. BNA just hiked the airport fee to $5 each way, and there's an additional $2 fee that pays for the Music City Center. This rider spoke to Channel 4.
Well, I'm a touring musician, so this is also coming out of my pocket just to play gigs. So yeah, it is discouraging to know that we have to pay more just to do our jobs.
Airport leaders say their $5 fee helps to fund transit improvement projects. Uber, however, says that $2 convention center fee is not typical and it shouldn't be added to rides from the airport. Amid a rash of tractor-trailer crashes involving illegal immigrant drivers, State Rep Scott Sapicki tells the Dan Mendez Show he's introducing a bill that forces employers to check the legal status of people that they want to hire.
If you hire somebody in Tennessee and you are not provided one of those 7 legal documents to prove that you are here legally, then every employee will be required to have E-Verify on them by the employer. And if the employer is caught violating this law 3 times, then we will revoke their license.
Sapicki will introduce that bill in January. And DHS Secretary Kristi Noem says new sections of the southern border wall will be higher and dug deeper into the ground to make it harder to breach the wall. And then there's this.
We are also going to be painting it black.
That is specifically at the request of the president, who understands that in the hot temperatures down here, when something is painted black, it gets even warmer, and it will make it even harder for people to climb.
Now, the money to pay for the paint and the wall, that all comes from the big, beautiful bill. That's the latest news. We've got your weather up next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan Jones. It is 10:03 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Real quick, legal ID, WWTN, Hendersonville, Nashville. We're operating on a skeleton computer right now because apparently the main computer went down. So you get the added bonus of no commercials right now. We get to just roll with the news.
It's beautiful.
Isn't that an amazing thing? It's like the silver linings. It's a happy little accident.
A little more, Chris.
Well, you know, anecdotally, people like it. So let's talk about Tulsi Gabbard and the 37 security clearances. This story is unbelievable. Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, last night, this news broke. She's revoked 37 security clearances of current and former officials who have, and I quote, abused trust by politicizing and manipulating information. This includes people who were involved in the Russia hoax. An ODNI memo dated Monday, first obtained by the New York Post, stated that the president has directed that, effective immediately, the security clearances of the following 37 individuals are revoked. Now, among those who had their clearances stripped were former top aide to the Obama administration, DNI James Clapper, Vin Nugent. We also saw just a list of people. I mean, it's a long list. I'll be honest with you. As I'm looking at these names, didn't know any of the names off the top of my head. So it's no big names. But they are people with access to classified systems, facilities, materials, and information. And they were using it in a malicious way. They were weaponizing it. They're saying any contracts or employment with the U.S. government by these 37 individuals is hereby terminated. Any credentials held by these individuals must be surrendered to the appropriate security officers, the memo stated. It is the determination of this office that certain individuals have engaged in some or all of the following conduct undermining those standards, to include politicization or weaponization of intelligence to advance personal, partisan, or non-objective agendas inconsistent with national security priorities, failure to safeguard classified information in accordance with applicable laws, regulations, and agency policies, and failure to adhere to professional, analytic, tradecraft standards, and other conduct detrimental to the trust and confidence required for continued access to national security information. So these guys are done. You're not going to be able to work off of that security clearance anymore because what you did was disgraceful. Now, it didn't stop there. This is a breaking story. Tulsi Gabbard went on Fox News last night to discuss this breaking story, to discuss the termination of the termination of these security clearances, and she did it on the Hannity show. This is what it sounded like last night with Tulsi Gabbard breaking it all down. Oh, hang on one second. I need some... Mason, you throw me some audio real quick, man? Mason, poor Mason. I'll just be honest with you. Poor Mason. You're getting your steps in, aren't you?
Oh, absolutely. We're having some
good.
Fun technical issues behind the scenes here.
Let's hear from DNI Gabbard.
If you go to odni.gov, people who say, well, Tulsi, this is just your view or your interpretation. No, it's all in hundreds of pages of documents that I've declassified and released that show point by point exactly what happened through this timeline.
I love that. Tulsi, is this your truth? No. We don't do that on this side. It's not, truth is not objective, right? This is just the truth. And Tulsi Gabbard brought receipts. We've seen the declassification process playing out in real time. Yeah, she's got receipts. This isn't a theory. This isn't an agenda. This is the truth.
That showed this very dangerous thing that occurred in the creation of Russiagate, the creation of this manufactured intelligence assessment that essentially had the intent of undermining the voices and votes of the American people who elected Donald Trump.
I mean, you can make the argument that it wasn't just the intent, that it actively did so. Mired in investigations, the first 2 years of his presidency in term one is 45, and the impeachment scandals that followed. You could absolutely make the argument that it wasn't just intended to do it. It cleared that objective.
They were not happy with the outcome of that election. And so they created this politicized, weaponized piece of fake intelligence that, as you mentioned, then went on to serve as a foundation for everything that came after, the multiple investigations, the years-long Mueller investigation, 2 congressional impeachments, investigations in the raid at Mar-a-Lago. The list goes on and on. Ultimately, the real crime here was against the American people because this action singularly undermined the integrity of our democratic republic. What to speak of the fact that some of those folks and those 37 individuals that we directed the revocation of security clearances from today under the direction of President Trump, they aided and abetted in this action, this seditious conspiracy that undermined our democracy, undermined our republic, and broke that sacred trust that every one of these professionals is supposed to have from the American people.
Yeah, they broke that trust. I love the way she lays it all out. Seditious conspiracy, undermined our democracy, undermined our republic. Now, all that language is great. And terminating the security clearances is great. They're not going to be able to weaponize that intelligence anymore. But I hope it doesn't stop there. Can we get criminal charges on any of these individuals? Can we? Can we put any of them in silver bracelets? At the end of the day, when we look back on this, and whether or not this was a victory or a failure, it's going to hinge directly on, has anybody been arrested and charged and put in jail? If the answer is no, as we move down the road, if the answer continues to be no, it's a failure. And we might get ourselves down the road and say, yep, that was a failure. That doesn't mean we shouldn't try currently. But that's how this is going to be judged. Were people arrested or not? Hannity asked DNI Gabbard whether or not there are still deep state actors inside the intel community sabotaging elections. Whoa. It's a good question, because you could make the argument that that's exactly what they did with the Russia hoax. They sabotaged an election. And Tulsi Gabbard doesn't slow down, doesn't hesitate. She says, yeah, and our national security depends on it.
Do we have deep state actors that are trying to influence our presidential elections? Is that what we're concluding here?
Yes, we have people within the intelligence community. Again, when you look at this example of who President Obama charged with this task, John Brennan, James Clapper, James Comey at the highest levels, but also those who worked as careerists within the intelligence community who did not object to their manipulation and manufacturing of intelligence and actually helped them get there, all moving towards their partisan interests, that they were not happy with the outcome of this election, and they were willing to do whatever it took in order to try to undermine President Trump's administration during his first term in office. These are bad actors that have to be rooted out. Our national security depends on it. The ability for the American people's trust to be earned back depends on exposing the bad actors and holding them accountable. And that's what President Trump is determined to do.
That's what President Trump is determined to do. We have to root them out and we have to hold them accountable. Again, I'm holding out hope that happens. If it doesn't, then this is a failure. Point blank, period. I'm hopeful. But we'll see what happens. In the meantime, other investigations still ongoing. I'm looking at the text. I got one text here. It's so funny. Who was it? Somebody said, oh, there it is, 3449. Trump was probably afraid they'd leak the Epstein stuff. Huh. Funny that you mentioned that. Funny that you mentioned the Epstein stuff. DOJ is sending Epstein documents to House Oversight on Friday, and they are going to be released to the public. Post Millennial has the story. The Department of Justice has informed the House Oversight Committee that it will begin providing records related to the infamous financier, Jeffrey Epstein, after a subpoena was issued earlier in August. Anybody else, they always call him the infamous financier. And I just feel like prolific pedophile fits a little bit better than infamous financier. He was a pedophile, and he was blackmailing world leaders via child sex slavery. Let's not beat around the bush. Infamous financier. Ooh, it almost sounds positive. Infamous financier. Chairman James Comer said officials with the Department of Justice have informed us that the department will begin to provide Epstein-related documents to the Oversight Committee this week on Friday. There are many records in DOJ's custody, and it will take the department time to produce all the records and ensure the identification of the victims and any child sex abuse material are redacted. I appreciate the Trump administration's commitment to transparency and efforts to provide the American people with information about this matter. Comer had subpoenaed the DOJ for these records related to Epstein on August 5th and sent the same-day deposition subpoenas to Bill and Hillary Clinton, former FBI Director James Comey, former U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland, former U.S. Attorney General Bill Barr, and others. During Bill Barr's deposition on Monday, Comer said that Barr told the committee, and I quote, he had never seen anything that would implicate President Trump in any of this, and that he believed if there had been anything pertaining to President Trump with respect to the Epstein list, that he felt like Biden administration would have probably leaked it, like we've all been saying. That's from Bill Barr. There's some skeletons in the Barr family closet, make no mistake about it. It was Bill Barr's dad who hired Epstein for his teaching job way back in the day. Comer sent a letter to the Attorney General Pam Bondi saying, while the department undertakes efforts to uncover and publicly disclose additional information related to Mr. Epstein and Ms. Maxwell's case, it is imperative that Congress conducts oversight of the federal government's enforcement of sex trafficking laws generally, and specifically its handling of the investigation and prosecution of Mr. Epstein and Ms. Maxwell. The subpoena to the DOJ requested documents, communications related to or referring to Epstein or Ghislaine Maxwell, and further relating or referring to human trafficking, exploitation of minors, sexual abuse, or related activity. The USA versus Ghislaine Maxwell case and the USA versus Jeffrey Epstein case. The U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of Florida's investigation into Epstein that resulted in the 2007 non-prosecution agreement between the office and Epstein, and other documents. Now, they're also saying that they're going to be making these documents public. That wasn't in the post-millennial story, but it was in the Breitbart story. House Oversight Committee to make Epstein files public after issuing a subpoena to the DOJ. The committee expects to receive the documents later this week after issuing a subpoena in August for the department records related to Epstein. We've talked about that, but Breitbart is saying that the committee intends to make the records public. That was from a spokesperson for the House Oversight Committee that was requested for comment from Breitbart, saying the committee intends to make the records public after thorough review to ensure all the victims' identification and child sex abuse material are redacted. So we are going to be getting Epstein information. Let's see what happens. Joe, I thought Pam Bondi said there were no Epstein records, and Trump told us to lose his number if we still care. Yeah, I know. I don't think Trump is implicated at the end of the day. And I've gone through this. When Trump was getting frustrated in the Oval Office about the Epstein questions, I do think hindsight is 20/20 in that situation, because there was that Wall Street Journal article. I believe it was the Wall Street Journal. I could be recalling incorrectly, but the infamous birthday card with the naked woman that was drawn. The Journal had been reaching out to the White House for comment, like right at that same time. I think that's what he was getting frustrated about when it comes to the hoax. I could be wrong. And if new information becomes available, I reserve the right to change my mind. If Donald Trump is implicated in any way in the Epstein files, I'll be the first to throw him under the bus. Make no mistake about it. I think that these crimes that are committed against children are some of the most horrific in nature. And the fact that it was done with some of the highest levels of our elite is disgusting and vile. And if Donald Trump is implicated, I will absolutely call him on it. I don't think he is. I don't. I've gone through this numerous times. Bradley Edwards, attorney for the victims, over 70 Epstein victims, said when he reached out to all different levels of the elite, the only one who returned his phone call was Donald Trump. The only one who gave him actionable information without even having to depose him was Donald Trump. Said, yeah, come on down. I'll give you all the time you need. That was Trump. People can still use this against him as a bludgeon. That's fine. There's definitely some missteps along the way that deserve our criticism. And you can look at Pam Bondi and the way that they handled the binders and say that that was a misstep. And I think that is an understatement, to be perfectly honest with you. I think it's completely frustrating. They said phase 1, and then there was no phase 2, and then they said, nothing to see here. I think there's something else going on behind the scenes. I don't know what it is, but there's definitely something bubbling below the surface. However, I don't think that it's Donald Trump has been implicated in these files. I just don't. If I'm wrong, I'm more than happy to admit it. I'm more than willing to talk about it. But at this point, I don't see anything that's changed my mind. We'll see, and we'll see what happens with these documents from the House Oversight Committee. It is James Comer, so take that with a grain of salt. I'm still waiting for him to take down the Biden crime family. So there's that. Other investigations ongoing currently. Adam Schiff, Shifty Schiff, he's being investigated. He's been investigating on a couple things. Mortgage fraud is one of them. Well, now he is forming a legal defense fund. Yes, Adam Shifty Schiff, who abused his position on the House Intelligence Committee and the Jan 6 Committee to pursue political foes, has formed a legal defense fund to deal with his own mounting legal woes. Breitbart has the story. New York Times reported on Tuesday, as a member of the U.S. House, Mr. Schiff led congressional inquiries into Mr. Trump during his first term in the White House. He served as the lead impeachment manager in President Trump's first impeachment, and then on the committee that investigated the January 6, 2021 riot at the Capitol. Paperwork for the Senator Schiff Legal Defense Fund filed with the Internal Revenue Service is dated August 14th, records show. It's clear that Donald Trump and his MAGA allies will continue weaponizing the justice process to attack Senator Schiff for holding his corrupt administration accountable, said a spokeswoman for Mr. Schiff. The fund will ensure he can fight back against these baseless smears while continuing to do his job. Got it. His job, which is lying and weaponizing intelligence. That job, is that the job we're talking? I think that's the job we're talking about. The guy who said, I got evidence. He never had evidence. As ranking member of the House Intelligence Committee, Schiff was leaking information that he hoped would implicate then-President Donald Trump in a so-called Russia collusion, often lying to the public about it. Even his own staff said, sir, we probably shouldn't leak classified information. He said, don't worry about it. So I'm a Democrat. We're not going to get in trouble for any of this. Schiff also tried to suppress findings by then chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, Devin Nunes, into the origins of the Russia investigation. He targeted Kash Patel, a key investigator who's now head of the FBI. And when Schiff became chairman of the committee, he launched an investigation that would lead to the first Trump impeachment, lying to the public about his staff's contact with a so-called whistleblower. Schiff promised the whistleblower would testify, then reneged on the promise and invented a false right for the whistleblower to not be named in public. He conducted hearings in secret, leaking reports about what was said that often turned out to be the opposite of what actually happened, suppressing contrary testimony. The final House impeachment report revealed that Schiff had spied on Nunes, on Patel, and on Trump's attorney. He failed to defend the report at the House Judiciary Committee, sending a staffer instead. After failing to convince the Senate to convict Trump, Schiff went on to serve on the one-sided J6 committee, which protected then-Speaker Nancy Pelosi, and again held secret hearings in which witnesses had few due process rights. The committee later destroyed its documents to cover up its work. Schiff is now under criminal investigation for mortgage fraud after allegedly falsifying claims, falsely claiming 2 homes as primary residences and receiving below-market interest rates. This is coming from a guy who used to say no one is above the law. It's wild, man. If you blink, you'll miss what's going on. But we'll do our best to keep you updated on all of it right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand here for my friends at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. These are actually my HVAC guys. Like, I'm legit a member of the Beehive Club. Honestly love them. And it is back to school season, and Busy Bee wants you to love them too, so they're bringing you some big savings and sweet giveaways. If you got septic issues, don't wait. You can get 15% off any septic work right now. Main drain lines, whole home repipes, just in time for the new school year. How about upgrading your comfort at home with a new HVAC system? Well, if you do that, you'll be entered to win the Healthy Hive giveaway. That's a $1,500 sponsorship to the local school of your choice. We hear so often teachers coming out of their own pocket to pay for supplies for the kids. You could change that drastically. $1,500 is really going to move the needle. And here's a gift sweeter than a red apple. You join that Beehive Club, which is a huge value. Trust me, I love it. And you can gift a free membership to a local teacher, coach, or faculty member. It's just buy one, gift one. That's simple. All you got to do is call Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. 615-775-7833. That's 615-775-7833. And you can always find them online, busybeehvac.com. Should kids be on this platform, period?
No.
Did you see this? This guy is from India. He makes a rogue illegal U-turn and an SUV slams into the back of his truck, killing 3 people inside. The highways are littered with illegal alien truck drivers killing people. How do they get their licenses?
Well, he's in California. We are working with the federal government to extradite him back to Florida. He will face incredibly severe charges here, and then he will be deported. But I will tell you that where was the role of the company in all of this? I don't think this guy spoke English. He clearly didn't know what he was doing behind the wheel. And yes, you shouldn't be giving illegals driver's license. We don't allow that in Florida. California does. They've issued probably over 1 million licenses to illegals in recent years.
Democrats always say, if we could just save one life. Imagine how many lives we could save if we required all of the truck drivers out there to speak English and be citizens of America.
Thank you, Joan Jones. It is 1027 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name's Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC. Water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. I didn't expect to do this right here, but if you're watching on the stream, I was scrolling Twitter during the break. X, formerly known as Twitter. People still calling it Twitter, right? I can't do X. It's just awful. Anyway, I found this tweet, X post, and somebody retweeted it that I followed. Said, "Is it just me, or does Adam Schiff look like Benedict Arnold?" Do you see the picture? I retweeted it on my Twitter account. In case you're listening on the radio, you can hop over there at Chris Hand on Air. He looks exactly like Benedict Arnold. Granted, it's just a painting, and I don't know what Benedict Arnold looked like in real life, but can you confirm that, Mason? That looks like him, right?
Yeah. Oh, that's pretty strikingly.
Yeah, that's what we got. That's what we got. Hey, mail-in voting, that's a big deal. It's been kind of buried in the news. You know, everybody's been talking about Russia and Ukraine and the European leaders coming into town. But if you blinked, you missed it. Yesterday, or not yesterday, 2 days ago, while they were having the sit-down in the Oval Office with Vladimir Zelensky, once again, President Trump brought up mail-in voting, and he's not happy about it, and there could be an executive order on the way.
So between paper ballots, very, very important, paper ballots, and I think maybe even more important, the mail-in voting. We're going to end mail-in voting. It's a fraud. If you have mail-in vote, even Jimmy Carter with this commission, they set it up. He said the one thing about mail-in voting, you will never have an honest election if you have mail-in. And it's time that the Republicans get tough and stop it, because the Democrats want it. It's the only way they can get elected. Because with men and women's sports and with transgender for everybody and open borders and all of the horrible things, and now the new thing is they love crime. They're fighting me on the fact that I've made Washington, D.C. safe. We're not going to get mugged, beaten up, or killed like all the people you've been watching get so badly hurt. I'm glad, I hate to take your time in this, but I'm glad you asked me that question. We're going to stop mail-in ballots because it's corrupt.
I love how he says the Republicans need to get tough and do something. However, it seems like once again, Donald Trump is going to be forced to do this on his own via executive order. We'll talk about it after the news with Joan Jones, which starts right now on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Metro Council has given final approval last night to a rezoning of the Nations. It'll lead to more apartment buildings in that area that has until now been home to single-family homes. Channel 4's Joylyn Bukovac.
2 amendments were added before that final vote. The first came from concerns that neighbors had at meetings, and it bans new short-term rental contracts. And the second one addresses traffic concerns. Metro's Department of Transportation says that they'll look into those issues during a broader master plan review.
The new plan allows for up to 4 homes on a standard residential lot as long as the new homes are only 2 stories high. Following the drowning death of a second child this season, there is a push to add safety measures or maybe even close down a Clarksville park.
I think that should be enough to permanently close that park because it's a danger to the public, to the children, everyone.
Channel 4 saying that a 10-year-old girl died on Sunday. 3 months ago, another preteen died in that same spot. Billy Dunlop Park and Robert Church Park are temporarily closed right now. The Trump administration restarting a program that Joe Biden ended, which allows local law enforcement and sheriffs to act as ICE deportation agents during traffic stops. But more sheriffs need to sign on, says State Rep Scott Sapicki speaking on the Dan Mandis Show this morning.
We need all of our sheriffs in Tennessee to sign up for the 287G program, so we send a clear message. Hey, if you're driving here in Tennessee and we find out that you're here illegally and you can't speak the language, you're going back home.
He also tells Dan Mandis only 13 sheriffs have signed on to that program so far. That is the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Hey, it's Chris Hand here for my friend Shane Ring over at Cover Nash. One of the things I love about Shane is he's going to make health insurance easy for you. I mean, sometimes this stuff feels like a math test. You got all these percentages, confusing. Surprise bills, fine print. Ooh, are you reading the fine print? No, of course not. But Shane will read it for you, and he's going to make it simple. Cover Nash is a brand new nationwide PPO plan that gives you the freedom to pick your own doctors anywhere in the U.S. with no referrals and no red tape. You're going to get just a $250 deductible, a flat $50 copay for any doctor, even specialists. Outpatient surgeries, only $250. Hospital stays, $1,000 total. Free preventative care, colonoscopies, mammograms, you name it, because it's ACA compliant. And here's the kicker. There's going to be no surprise bills, no hidden fees, just real protection from real providers. And if that's not the perfect fit, Cover Nash works with over 75 top-rated insurance companies, so they're going to find something that works for your budget and your needs. All you got to do is visit covernash.com, or you can pick up the phone and call Shane right now, 615-465-0023. That's 615-465-0023, or find him online for health insurance made simple. Finally, it's covernash.com.
Weather can change in an instant, and you need to be prepared for any outcome. That's why Generator Supercenter of Nashville will help keep your family safe and connected. We make buying a backup generator simple and easy, with financing options available, free in-home estimate, turnkey installations, no worry warranty, and most importantly, the monitoring and service of your fully installed generator. Come see us at our location in Nashville or visit us online. Generator Supercenter of Nashville. We serve all Middle Tennessee.
Now, before you ask, I definitely voted for this.
Okay. They didn't take Reese's or food stamps no more, no candy. So they went lying when they said they're going to take out all the snacks. They're taking away all the snacks on EBT. What's the point of having it?
God, if you're 5'3" and you're 300 pounds, taxes ought not to pay for your bags of fudge rounds.
Go on, get your butt to work if you want to get some fudge rounds. Thank you for your attention to this matter.
The Reese, they didn't take the Reese out. Food stamps is boring right now.
Work on this, and when Congress comes back to Washington, I'm sure there will be many discussions with our friends on Capitol Hill and also our friends in state legislatures across the country to ensure that we're protecting the integrity of the vote for the American people. And I think Republicans generally, and the president generally, wants to make it easier for Americans to vote and harder for people to cheat in our elections. And it's quite mind-boggling that the Democrat Party could stand in opposition to common sense. He wants to ensure election integrity. There were great efforts efforts that were made in 2024. I won't get ahead of myself for Hatch Act reasons to get ahead for the next election, but I can assure you this is a priority for the president.
It's a priority for the president, ending mail-in voting. What do you think about it? 615-737-9986. There's a lot to learn about this plan, particularly what about our soldiers overseas, and I haven't seen any details on that, but the word on the street is that President Trump is expected to sign an executive order banning mail-in voting. People are going to be pissed. People are going to be Democrats are going to be pissed because we know what they use this for. They use this to cheat, and we've seen it. We've seen it time and time again, the ballot harvesting. I got a few examples here where you can look at it and go, that's not on the up and up. Well, we'll get to it. We'll get to it. But Donald Trump, if you blinked, you've missed this in the past couple of days with everything else going on, waging a war against mail-in voting. This was Donald Trump in the Oval Office 2 days ago.
So between paper ballots, very, very important, paper ballots, and I think maybe even more important, the mail-in voting. We're going to end mail-in voting. It's a fraud. If you have mail-in vote, even Jimmy Carter with this commission, they set it up. He said the one thing about mail-in voting, you will never have an honest election if you have mail-in. And it's time that the Republicans get tough and stop it.
Yeah, it is time that the Republicans get tough and stop it. Yet it seems like once again, Donald Trump is going to have to do this via executive order and not via Republican legislation. It's just, it just seems like it's a tale as old as time. We have the majority. We can't get anything done. And Trump's got to do it all on his own. John Nolte over at Breitbart had a good write-up on this. President Trump released a Truth Social statement Monday morning announcing he will sign an executive order outlawing mail-in ballots nationwide. Here's the Truth Social post in case you're keeping score at home, saying, I'm going to lead a movement to get rid of mail-in ballots. And also, while we're at it, highly inaccurate, very expensive, and seriously controversial voting machines, which cost 10 times more than accurate and sophisticated watermark paper, which is faster and leaves no doubt at the end of the evening as to who won and who lost the election. We're now the only country in the world that uses mail-in voting. All others gave it up because of the massive voter fraud encountered. We will begin this effort, which will be strongly opposed by the Democrats because they cheat at levels never seen before, by signing an executive order to help bring honesty to the 2026 midterm elections. That's important. 2026, not 2028, 2026. Remember that states are merely an agent for the federal government in counting and tabulating votes. They must do what the federal government, as represented by the President of the United States, tells them for the good of our country to do. With the horrible radical left policies like open borders, men playing in women's sports, transgender and woke for everyone, and so much more, Democrats are virtually unelectable without using this completely disproven mail-in scam. Elections can never be honest with mail-in ballots voting, and everybody, in particular the Democrats, know this. I and the Republican Party will fight like hell to bring honesty and integrity back to our elections. The mail-in ballot hoax using voting machines that are a complete and total disaster must end now. Remember, without fair and honest elections and strong and powerful borders, you don't even have a semblance of a country. Thank you for your attention to this matter. 3 exclamation points. Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America. So he's targeting the easily manipulated voting machines. He's targeting the mail-in ballots. But the voting machines especially leave no paper trail to back them up. So he put this all out in a Truth Social post on Monday. John Nolte with the write-up on Breitbart. Fantastic. He says, at first, it sounds ridiculous. The Constitution clearly gives each state the right to manage its own elections. So Trump's executive order can only be worth the paper it's printed on, correct? Not exactly. First off, even after more than a decade of proving he can do what many considered impossible, starting with forcing Barry Obama to cough up his birth certificate, people still underestimate Trump. Roe v. Wade, anyone? Iran's nuclear program, anyone? How about a totally secure border, mass deportation, 7 peace deals in 7 months, the tariffs working, successfully suing the regime media, defunding NPR, gutting the Department of Education, bringing the Jew-hating Ivy League to its knees? He's even on the verge of overturning birthright citizenship. So what's the play here? From a political point of view, Trump's doing what he's always done best, and that's launching a serious debate about something the Democrats and the corporate media had successfully labeled a third-rail issue that is forever settled and can no longer be debated without severe consequences, election denier, racist, etc. Secondly, as this executive order is litigated in the courts, Who knows what precedents will be set? What's the worst case? We're right back where we started from. As we're seeing with Russia and Ukraine, unlike every GOP president before him, Trump is willing to take big public chances at a failure to move the ball. No other president would have met Putin without a victory of some kind, no matter how small already in the bag Trump did. In my lifetime, that might be unprecedented. Finally, there's this, and this might be the secret sauce. There's no question that mail-in ballots invite and allow for massive fraud, or that Democrat-run states and cities have no incentive to clean up the fraud when they benefit from the fraud. But when locals allow for this kind of cheating, the result is the disenfranchisement of other voters. And that is a civil rights violation. And it is the jurisdiction of the federal government to ensure our civil rights. You'll note in Trump's Truth Social post that he's deadlined this issue for the 2026 midterm elections. Don't be surprised if we see a lot of judicial and federal action on this matter. One of Trump's secret powers is convincing people he's just bloviating. That's how he catches him off guard. I want to know what you think about it. 615-737-9986. Let's go to Amy in Lebanon on mail-in voting. What's up, Amy?
Hey, how are you, Chris?
I'm good. What's going on?
Well, I just wanted to, I totally agree with this premise of cleaning up this mail-in ballot business. But, and I know that this is probably something that will be addressed by the Trump administration. But, you know, my mother had MS and was bedridden. I mean, she couldn't even sit up in a wheelchair or anything. And she always did the mail-in ballots. And I mean, that's really my only concern. Of course, people overseas as well, like the military who are deployed. But I'm sure that's going to be it's going to be addressed. But I do think it's a valid concern.
Yeah, no, I mean, I hear that, and I do think that there's going to be a lot of concerns that echo that, Amy, and I appreciate the call. There's no specifics on that. What I can tell you is that we're seeing voter fraud at levels that we've never seen before, and you can point to illegal aliens and you can point to Democrats. There's a story here. Michigan City Councilman caught on camera stuffing election drop box with absentee ballots days before the primary. New York Post is a story. Michigan City Council member caught on camera stuffing an election drop box with apparent absentee ballots just days before he won his re-election bid in a local primary. This happened in Hamtramck, Michigan. Hamtramck City Council member Abu Musa was seen in the passenger seat of a car on August 1st, handing stacks of papers to the car's driver, who then dumped them into a nearby ballot box. Footage obtained by Local 4, a news channel out of Michigan, out of Detroit, appears to show. Musa held on to his re-election spot in the primary 4 days later on August 5th after beating out 11 other candidates with 1,100 votes. 1,129 votes is what he won, but only 286 of those votes were cast on Election Day. 843 of those were cast by absentee ballot, the Daily Mail reported. This story is wild. Let's listen in.
Both men are accused of forging signatures on absentee ballots in a tight general election. They're pleading not guilty and vowing to attend tonight's city council meeting, which is getting underway right now. But as 7 News Detroit's Ruta Olsenaida found out, they're not the only city officials who've recently been accused of wrongdoing. She went to today's hearing to get some answers.
The list is pretty long for the charges that these two councilmen are now facing. Election law forgery, forging signatures on an absentee ballot. The accused didn't say much inside the courtroom, but residents are demanding answers.
Yeah, the accused didn't say much, and the Democrats will say it's not happening at all. Let's hear from the residents.
It's like a slap in the face to the rest of the community.
Hamtramck resident and former city councilwoman Andrea Karpinski says she's disappointed with city leadership, so much so that she actually resigned in 2020.
So from being on city council to what you're seeing now, what goes through your head?
It's frustrating. When I was on city council, it was a pride. You know, I felt pride to be a part of the community, be a leader in the community, and now it's kind of a joke.
I mean, we heard in that piece from John Nolte, this leads to civil rights infringement. This is voter disenfranchisement. And I don't know about you, she sounds pretty disenfranchised.
This week, the Monroe County Prosecutor's Office charged City Councilman Muhtasin Sadman and Councilman Mohammed Hassan with forging absentee ballots, election law forgery, and other felonies tied to the 2023 general election.
Yeah, no, the Democrats will say this doesn't happen. Democrats will say that this is fine. Democrats will call you a conspiracy theorist if you believe this kind of stuff. Yet when you bring real evidence to the table like this, they'll go, they'll put their fingers in the ears and do la 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 la. No, I don't hear that. I don't hear that. Donald Trump is right when it comes to mail-in voting. He's absolutely right. Now, people are speaking out against it. Remember Colorado Secretary of State Jenna Griswold? Do you remember Jenna? Jenna Griswold was the one who removed Trump from the ballot in Colorado. She's worried about Trump stopping mail-in ballots because she cares about free and fair elections. Listen to this. This was on CNN last night. This is the Secretary of State from Colorado, the same woman who removed Donald Trump from the Colorado ballot, crying about free and fair elections on CNN. You can't make this stuff up. It's so ridiculous, but it's 2025. What do you expect?
If the president was able to successfully stop mail-in voting, would that benefit one party over the other in your state?
Yeah, it would definitely help conservatives because we know that mail-in ballots help Democrats.
To make it very clear, he will not be successful.
Oh, okay.
I have beat him over and over and over as he has attempted in 2020 to roll back mail ballots. But mail ballots do not help one party over another. That's what all the data shows. It just helps voters vote in a secure and accessible way.
I mean, that's just so false. So false, especially when it comes to ballot harvesting. And ballot harvesting, mind you, it was legal in the 2024 election. I wish it wasn't, but it was. And I talked to a lot of guys at Turning Point Action who are going out there, going after these mail-in ballots. And I'll tell you what, it's harder to do that in conservative areas, in rural areas, than it is in big metropolitan cities. It's much easier to harvest ballots in a city like New York, where I can go to one apartment building and knock on 3,000 doors, than it is going to, gee whiz, Christiana, Tennessee. And I got, you got to get back in the car, go to the next house, get back in the car, go to the next house. When she says that it doesn't benefit Democrats, she's lying. She's absolutely lying. And I think she knows she's lying. Jenna Griswold continues.
And to put it in perspective, we do have vote by mail. We send it to every active voter, but we have weeks of early voting, same-day voter registration, a lot of in-person voting options. And in 2024, 92% of Republican voters chose to use their mail ballots. This isn't about security. This is about, again, a weak president grasping at straws, trying to hold on to power. He has escalated his attacks on our elections, from weaponizing the DOJ to trying to keep MAGA control of Congress through corrupt redistricting. We need to fight back. I will do everything in my power to stop them, but your viewers really need to get involved too. Make their voices heard and make it clear that this corrupt power grab will not succeed, and Americans will reject what's happening in this nation right now.
I'm sure all 7 viewers will get right on that. But it's just, this is what we're up against. The CNN interviewer didn't bring up what's going on with the Hamtramck city councilman. They didn't bring that up at all. No. It's just Donald Trump. He's a way off base. He's lying again. He's trying to hold on to power. Steve, on the road, your thoughts on mail-in voting. What's up, man?
Yeah. Hey, man. I agree with Trump, but the thing is mail-in ballots were created for like our military guys overseas primarily that are serving. So of course it's going to have to stay for certain causes. And I've even had neighbors in the past that were like older and disabled that actually asked me, would you mind taking me up to the school here so I can vote today? And I've done that for them. So there are certain people that still qualify to do that. But, the whole thing about the system, the mail-in ballot system, is really, it's been taken advantage of, and just anybody shouldn't be able to do that. The thing about it is also we need to beef up the verification process of it to where even you start doing thumbprints or, and this is in person voting. There should be some kind of camera system set up, some kind of a better security method to make sure that people are not being counted twice and people that don't exist can be counted. In the end, whoever's overseeing it should be people that have served this country, law enforcement, ex-military, ex-law enforcement, people that are pillars of the community and that we trust and that we know will oversee the process, because it's really the most important thing of our freedom and our future in this country is the voting process. So
I'm with you,
really
Steve, and I'm sure, there's, and I appreciate the call. There's been no details on military members who are overseas. There's been no details on our elderly population who just can't get out and go to the voting centers. I'm sure there's going to be some carve-outs, but the way it stands now, where in some states you're getting a mail-in ballot just by saying, hey, I'd like one, or you're just getting one sent to your house in the first place without even requesting it. That's insane, and that needs to stop, and I think that's what Donald Trump is fighting against. We got a lot more to cover on the show. We'll get to more of your phone calls after the break as well, so if you're on the line, hang on the line. We appreciate you joining the show, and as Matt Murphy likes to say every afternoon, turning the monologue into a dialogue. 615-737-9986 if you want to tune in, or you can watch us. We're on YouTube and Rumble. Hit like, hit subscribe. We got video for all the audio that you're hearing, and you can jump inside the most red-pilled chat on all the internet. That's our YouTube chat. Shout out to the chat. It's 10:54. This is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Got to tell you about my guys at the Glock store. I love the Glock store. That's where I go to train. That's where I go to shop. If you need something that goes pew-pew, that's where you need to go as well. How about this? Do you want your Glock to shoot flatter with less recoil? Well, you got to check out the C-cuts at the Glock store. What the hell is a C-cut? I did the exact same thing. It's actually short for compensator cut. This is a precision slot in your barrel and slide that will push the blast upward in a V motion that cuts the muzzle flip and lets you get back on target fast. Now, these used to be only on the high-end Gen 3 compensated Glocks, but now the Glock store can do it for your Glock in 10 days or less, and you don't have to take my word for it. You can try it before you buy it. For just $6.99, you can go down to the Glock store and shoot a C-cut Glock 17, 19, or my favorite, the 43X. Bring your Glock or just the barrel and slide and start those 10 days today. That's the Glock store, minutes from the airport, worth the drive from anywhere, and always open online, glockstore.com.
This is massive. This is Armenia and Azerbaijan. This is nearly 4 decades of fighting in the region. Both leaders of each nation are coming here to the White House.
For more than 35 years, Armenia and Azerbaijan have fought a bitter conflict that resulted in tremendous suffering for both nations. They suffered gravely for so many years. Many tried to find a resolution, including the European Union. The Russians worked very hard on it, never happened. Sleepy Joe Biden tried, but you know what happened there? He tried for probably 12 minutes and didn't work out.
Have you seen this done with any other president, the way he's leveraging the economy and trade?
Absolutely not. I mean, this is 7 peace deals in 7 months, and it's unbelievable. I mean, President Trump is the only guy who can come together and do it. He can do it right.
Elon Musk's privately funded tunnel from downtown BNA.
The most cutting-edge transit systems in the world.
They call it the Music City Loop. We call it the BNA hole.
We've submitted a list of questions, and so we're looking forward to the opportunity to get answers.
Questions like, how does a tunnel work? Or how can I be the biggest a-hole in the room without even trying? Because clearly, the fiscally responsible thing to do is to keep traffic backed up until every driver becomes an a-hole. The BNA hole. Zero cost to the taxpayers, and that's the real problem for the left.
I kind of think that's on brand.
Not enough opportunity to play tax collector a-hole. The BNA hole, where progress goes to upset liberals.
Eleven o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Right now, got a crash reported at the Eastern Split. Going to be 40 westbound. They're just past exit 213A and B. Full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. Right now in North Carolina, Governor Josh Stein on the effects of Hurricane Erin, which is expected to make its closest swing to the United States sometime tomorrow morning.
Coastal flooding from massive waves, tropical storm force winds, and tidal and storm surge for much of the state shoreline, especially the Outer Banks, from this evening through Thursday. Local states of emergency have been declared in Currituck County, Dare County, and Hyde County. Mandatory evacuations are in place for Ocracoke and Hatteras Islands.
So even though it's going to be coming close to the United States, at least the closest it will still be 200 miles away from the coast. However, Hurricane Erin's wind field keeps expanding, and that's why by tonight you'll start to see gusts around 30 miles per hour there in the Outer Banks, then 50 by tomorrow morning. A special ask from Pope Leo. ABC's Sherry Preston with more on his audience this week in Rome.
Pope Leo is asking people to take time out this coming Friday to fast and pray for peace in the Middle East and Ukraine. The Pope has called for ceasefires before, but he's never issued a personal appeal. The request coming as the Pope returned to the Vatican from summer vacation. At the end of Wednesday's audience, he was also given a ping pong table as a gift. Leo picked up a paddle and bounced a ball on it, but it rolled into the net. Sherry Preston, ABC News.
President Trump, by the way, confirming the next round of peace talks between Russia and Ukraine will take place without him.
The president saying he wants the meeting between Putin and Zelensky to happen quickly. But the Kremlin still hasn't confirmed if Putin is even on board, despite claims that he told Trump he would attend. Russian officials now saying any face-to-face between Putin and Zelensky must be, quote, prepared with the utmost care. Critics accusing Russia of delaying the talks on purpose.
That's ABC's Nicole D'Antonio. And here in Tennessee, the 4 Metro police officers involved in that bar fight on Division Street over the weekend have been placed on administrative leave. Channel 4's Marius Payton.
4 off-duty officers weren't allowed into Losers Bar. That led to a fight with security guards in front of the Velvet Taco. One of the officers has a serious head wound. The fight is still being investigated, and the district attorney is being consulted for possible charges.
Yeah, the injured officer has been released from the hospital. Kilmar Abrego Garcia back in the news after his lawyers asked a federal judge in Nashville yesterday to dismiss his indictment, calling it a vindictive and selective prosecution by the Trump administration. It's not clear when the judge will make that decision. Garcia is still behind bars, waiting his trial on human smuggling charges. Meantime, he could be released on Friday. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
If you didn't have the gig that you have and you're not at the White House, you're not the reporter, would you raise a family in that area?
Absolutely not.
And either they're going to straighten their act out in the terms of government and in terms of protection, or we're going to have to federalize and run it the way it's supposed to be run.
It's brutal out here. It can be really, really tough. I don't live in D.C. proper anymore because it's just gotten kind of out of control. It's gotten dirtier, it's gotten more crowded, and a lot more violence, as you just alluded to. But my first year living here, I was seeing a lot of that, and it grew very quickly. So I moved here, I would say, in 2023. By the time I moved out after a year, it got really crowded. It got really messy. I remember getting emails from my apartment complex saying that there was a shooting just across the street, and it was maybe every other weekend. And I was saying, what decision did I make to even live here? I mean, obviously close proximity to the White House, which is what I wanted.
Yeah.
But wow, what a difference a year makes under, a leadership that doesn't really care that much about crime.
It's 11:06 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? It's Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by our friends at Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. You can find me just about everywhere. Truth Social, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. All of them have the same handle, at Chris Hand on Air. Hit the follow button. I will follow back. I've been putting out a lot more content online lately, and trying to put different stuff out that we aren't exactly covered on the show, and go full circle. So hit the follow button. Appreciate it when you do so. Find us on YouTube and Rumble if you want to watch the show as well. Hit like and subscribe while you're there. Got a lot of kids I need to feed. Those likes and those subscribes, that's like food in their mouth. So help us out. Hit like, hit subscribe. We got a lot of people watching on YouTube. Doesn't equal that in likes. What's going on with those guys?
So we're slacking a little bit.
They're slacking. Shout out to the YouTube chat. Daryl said you're looking dapper, Ken.
Tell Daryl I said thanks.
I will. He also said, my haircut's looking clean. That's true. I knew that.
Boy, that is a good-looking wig snap, brother.
Shout out to my
Mighty fine.
Shout out to my guys at Midtown in Murfreesboro.
Yeah, I got to love those toupee makers, man.
Oh, man, they're the best. They're
Well,
the
Chris
best.
Hand's got a sharp head of hair, man.
No, yeah, I think he's got everybody
I do.
beat.
You know, you need a little bit of that goop. Everybody needs a little goop.
A little bit of slop.
Tell you what.
That looks good, dude.
A little goop goes a long way. You guys got to try it. It's awesome.
Get some goop.
Here, get y'all some goop. That's it. That's all you need is the goop.
I don't know. I don't have enough on my head for any goop.
We could goop up that beard, though.
Yeah, you could goop up the beard. Yeah.
3 big old spikes off your
Oh,
chin there.
yeah, dude. We should goop your beard one time on air.
I'm just saying, Halloween's coming up.
If we ever get back to a slow news day, we will goop Ken Weaver's beard on the air.
I just have one request.
Oh, lay it on me.
Let's goop it with hot chicken.
Oh, okay. A little spicy goop.
Then I can have a little something later on in the day.
All right.
That's fair. That's fair.
We'll work on what we're going to put in the goop before we scoop, and we'll get there, all right? Okay, I got an update on a few immigration stories. First, let's start with the Tennessee man. You all remember the story. A Tennessee man charged with rape of an unconscious woman outside of a church on Nolensville Pike. Raped her. She has passed away. It's a disgusting story. What I find even more disgusting is how the mainstream media covers this, to be perfectly honest with you. Instead of just telling it like it is and putting the truth out there and letting the facts fall where they may, they have to call him a Tennessee man. And when this story first came out, I said, oh, Tennessee man, what's his name? And I looked at the sheet and I said, first name, Muhammad. Last name, Muhammad. Oh, Muhammad. It's a very popular Tennessee man name. So obviously, it's a Tennessee guy. I mean, everybody wrote it. People magazine, Tennessee man charged with raping unconscious woman. Hoodline, Nashville man charged with rape of unconscious woman. Yahoo News, Tennessee man charged with rape of unconscious woman. Fox News. Friends like these, who needs enemies? Fox News, Tennessee man charged for allegedly raping unconscious woman outside church before she died. Heartbreaking story. That 39-year-old man has been charged by police. And shout out to the firefighters that saw that going down. They turned their truck around and flipped on the sirens and got him off of that woman. It was too late, but heroes nonetheless. Nonetheless. In a press release on Friday, the Metropolitan Nashville Police Department said detectives charged the suspect, identified as Muhammad, with 4 counts of rape in the case. He's accused of targeting the impaired and unconscious woman outside the church in the 2600 block of Nolensville Pike. An image shows the suspect in the case, and Border Hawk News said it is trying to determine his immigration status. Well, DHS has confirmed his immigration status. Turns out he's not a Tennessee man at all. You know where he's from? He's from Somalia. Color me shocked. I think when the story broke, we said there's no way. There's no way he's from Tennessee. And where's the mainstream media on this story? Where are the corrections? Where's Freddie O'Connell crying on camera? Can somebody get Freddie on camera crying? He's not going to cry for this one. No. Well, weird. Why? Why is that? Because this flies in the face of everything they're saying. Diversity is our strength. It's not. It's not. We're importing the third world, and we're bringing the third world problems. It's a mess. It's an absolute mess. And they covered this as a Tennessee man. Tennessee man. Go ahead, Google it. Google Tennessee man charged. You'll see all the headlines. It's disgraceful. They knew damn well he wasn't a Tennessee man when they wrote that headline. Just like Kilmar Abrego Garcia isn't a Maryland man. He's from El Salvador. This is what they do. They manipulate the language so that way, hopefully, you don't see what's going on. Hopefully, you miss the story. We're not going to miss that kind of stuff here on Super Talk. We're just not. We're going to highlight it, and we're going to call them out. He was not a Tennessee man. He was a Somalian man. What he did was vile, and he should be under the jail. There's a lot of things that I want to say, but I'll bite my tongue for now. Not a Tennessee man, Somalian man. Got another update for you. This one is on the illegal alien truck driver in Florida. This story just keeps getting worse and worse for that illegal alien. I'll let the reporters on Fox News break it down, but they're talking about the test that they did on the side of the road with him. So while they're on the side of the road with this illegal alien truck driver, who I'm sure they want to call a California man. He's from India. But they gave him some English proficiency tests on the side of the road. And they asked him to identify street signs on the side of the road. How do you think he did? You think he passed? Do you think he excelled? Let's find out.
Dana, 28-year-old Harjinder Singh is expected back in Florida later this week to face state charges of vehicular homicide. He's currently being held in California without bond. He appeared in court yesterday with the help of an interpreter. He agreed to sign paperwork for his extradition, and Florida authorities must pick him up by August 27.
Just for starters, who's paying for that interpreter? Is it taxpayers paying for that interpreter? Also, should he be driving an 18-wheeler if he needs an interpreter in court? It's before we even get to what happened on the side of the road. Oh, my gosh. It's like, it's such a mess. And the mainstream media is nowhere on this story either.
Singh was driving on Florida's Turnpike last week when authorities say he attempted an illegal U-turn, blocking oncoming traffic. A minivan slammed into the trailer, killing 3 Florida residents inside.
He tried to cut through one of those emergency vehicle openings that you see in the median of the highway. But he attempted his U-turn from the right lane. So his truck crossed across 3 lanes of traffic. And this family traveling in the left lane in a minivan couldn't avoid the truck. You know the rest of the story. It's crazy.
Following the wreck, investigators with the U.S. DOT gave Singh an English language proficiency test. According to a DOT press release, the driver failed the assessment, providing correct responses to just 2 of 12 verbal questions and only accurately identifying 1 of 4 highway traffic signs.
Whoa. You gave him an English proficiency test. And he only got correct responses to 2 of the 12 verbal questions and could only identify 1 of 4 highway traffic signs. I'm curious to know which traffic sign, but I'm a little bit afraid because I think that might just infuriate me further. 2 of 12 verbal questions were correct. 1 out of 4 traffic signs. This guy was driving an 18-wheeler. This is the same guy, mind you, who was driving an 18-wheeler some months ago, and he couldn't read the traffic sign saying the weight limit on the bridge. So he had like a 6-ton, it was like a 6-ton limit, and he had a way more than that. And he caved the bridge in. Same driver. Still gets back behind the wheel of an 18-wheeler.
Highway traffic signs. Because Singh, who entered the U.S. from Mexico in 2018, is an asylum seeker from India, the DOT says Washington state violated federal guidelines by issuing him a full-term commercial driver's license in 2023. And they believe New Mexico state police may have failed to assess his English skills during a roadside inspection. Additionally, the DOT says it's investigating whether California acted within federal guidelines when it issued a limited term CDL in 2024.
They got to get it together. They got to get Dan just did a reel. I don't know if you saw it on YouTube. He did a short. He said it so perfectly. Democrats always say if it saves one life. If it saves one life. Remember that with the vaccine, with the masks, with the social distancing. You got to protect grandma. If it saves one life. What about with these truck drivers? We're not allowed to apply that same logic. Democrats say you can't do that. You're not allowed to do that. The Trump administration is going to continue cracking down on this kind of stuff, and I hope that we see ICE operations at weigh stations moving forward because this is just a calamity, and we're waiting for more death and destruction the longer this goes on without being fixed. Now, elsewhere, the Trump administration is doing their best to end sanctuary state and city policies as best they can. They put out a letter, Attorney General Bondi, saying if you continue down this road, you're going to lose federal funding. The Oregon governor is refusing to end those sanctuary state policies after that threat from the Trump administration. Oregon's Governor Tina Kotek doubled down on Oregon's sanctuary policies on Tuesday after U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi warned the state and other sanctuary jurisdictions last week that she would pursue legal action if they failed by Tuesday to repeal the rules that impede federal immigration enforcement. Bondi also threatened to pull federal funding, and she did so live on TV. She never misses a Fox News appearance, that Pam Bondi. She never does. But she was on Fox Business, and she talked about what they're going to do with these states and pulling that federal funding.
They had sanctuary policies here in D.C. No longer. They've been working with us. You have to tell us if there are illegal aliens in your database. If we're arresting someone, we are going to know if they're an illegal alien. So last week I sent out 32 letters to mayors around the country, and I believe to 7 governors, telling them you better comply or you're next. If they don't comply with this, Larry, we're going to work with our other agencies to cut off their federal funding. We are going to send in law enforcement, just like we did during the LA riots, just like we're doing here in Washington, D.C. And if they're not going to keep their citizens safe, Donald Trump will keep them safe. That's
Pam Bondi on Fox Business yesterday. If these cities, these states don't want to keep their citizens safe, Donald Trump will. Force our hand. The feds are already moving in a lot of these cities and states where they don't want to keep their citizens safe. Portland is one of those. Federal police have arrested several in Portland after Antifa rioters mobilized an attack on an ICE facility. This is the kind of chaos and devastation that comes from these Democrat-run cities. Approximately 50 to 75 Black Bloc individuals, many affiliated with Antifa networks, gathered in front of an ICE facility around dusk on Monday. The group had put out a call for mass mobilization on social media after reports that ICE had detained an illegal alien inside the facility. Protesters hurled objects at the building, resulting in the Department of Homeland Security, Federal Protective Service agents, and ICE officers busting out of the gate to make several targeted arrests. Federal police officers deployed crowd control munitions to disperse the unruly crowd after issuing several warnings to vacate federal property. At least 3 of those arrests were made for various offenses. Have you heard the loudspeakers that they have now outside that Portland ICE facility? It says, "Please disperse." It's Donald Trump's voice. We call it a little bit of trolling. We like to do a little bit of trolling. You got to do it. You got to do it. But this is all jokes aside. What's happening in these cities is sick. And you see the Democrats defending the most vile of people or lying about where they're from, a la Tennessee man. Stephen Miller called out these sanctuary states, jurisdictions, and cities.
Let me just break down for your audience, Sean, how severe the crime committed by these sanctuary cities is. So you'll have a situation where local police in Boston will arrest an illegal alien who's a child predator. And ICE will then send what's called a detainer request or a hold request, and will say, don't release this person, hand them over to ICE, and we'll remove this child predator from our community. Instead, these sanctuary mayors will order the police department to ignore the federal request to set them free out of the jail, out of the prison, and they will go back into the community. And then they will reoffend. They will hurt another little girl. They will hurt another little boy. And then ICE has to spend weeks scouring the community to find this public safety threat. What they're doing, Sean, is evil, and President Trump will see that they are held to account for their crimes.
I mean, there's so many. There's so many. We need to hold these mayors accountable. We need to hold these governors accountable. We need to hold these people giving out licenses to illegal aliens driving 18-wheelers. You know, you see it in school shootings now. Well, mom and dad had a gun and it wasn't secured. So mom and dad are getting charged in this school shooting. Okay, can we do that with the trucking companies? Can we? Can we do that with these states? Like, if parents are going to get arrested when their kid does a school shooting, how about we do that with whoever passed this guy on his license test? How about we do it with whoever issued the license? And how about we do it with whoever gave him the job? Because much like a firearm, an 18-wheeler in the wrong hands, very dangerous. Very dangerous. Can we do the same rules? Can we apply the same logic? Can we apply the same logic to city officials, mayors of these cities who are allowing child predators to get back on the streets? Can we apply that same logic? I wish we could. I wish we could. Boston's mayor, Michelle Wu, who's famous for having a no whites allowed Christmas party, she's doubling down in the face of federal enforcement and threats of funding being pulled. She said this yesterday.
Today, because last week, Boston received a letter from the Attorney General of the United States on official letterhead from the federal government threatening to prosecute city officials and withhold federal funds unless we cooperate with carrying out mass deportations. At a time when this federal administration is already causing so much fear and harm in our communities, these threats are serious and consequential. But our same communities have told me loud and clear that silence in the face of oppression is not an option.
And everybody cheers. Stunning and brave. Yet, silence when it comes to ICE requests for child predators that you're releasing back on the street, no big deal. No big deal. This community is facing so much fear from the Trump administration that we're going to allow illegal sex offenders back on the street. Okay. I mean, hey,
that'll show them.
That's one way to do it. That's one way to do it. I hope all the federal funding gets pulled from all of these jurisdictions, all of these states, all of these cities. Mayor Wu is the worst mayor Boston has ever had. She makes Mayor Mumbles look like just a genius. And if you got Boston, if you know Boston, you know what I'm talking about. I don't need to get into Menino and Mumbles, but he was a loser. And Mayor Wu makes that guy seem like he's just plated in 24 karat gold. It's crazy. 11:23. This is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand here for my friends at the Wellness Institute of Nashville. Talk about these guys all the time because you need to see them if you're letting pain ruin your life. Back pain, neck pain, knee pain. Is it stopping you from doing the things you love? What if I told you just $12 could get you on a pathway to a pain-free life? It's true. It's called the Big Daddy Trump Special, and it's from the Wellness Institute of Nashville. That $12 is going to get you a full exam, x-rays if needed, a well-explained diagnosis, and your first treatment for only $12. Dr. Mitchell, Dr. Ashley, they hear it all the time. Why didn't I come here first? Why can't other doctors explain things like you do? You got to go see the best. You got to see Dr. Mitchell and Dr. Ashley. Whether it's back pain, neck pain, sciatica, numbness, bulging discs, they'll treat it all with non-surgical spinal decompression, robot lasers, and even anti-gravity machines. You won't find surgery. You won't find injections. You're not going to find the drugs, but you're going to find relief. Real lasting relief. Grab your MRI and get ready to finally understand your condition and fix it. 615-246-5009 is the number to call. That's 615-246-5009, or you can always find them online, painisbad.com.
Hear what accused quadruple murderer Austin Drummond has to say. Coming up at 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That's Ken Weaver in the newsroom. My name is Chris Hand. It's 11:28. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. A lot of people caught my mess up when I was reading that article. I said crowd control musicians by accident.
Oh, you meant magicians, right?
Yeah. I meant magicians, obviously. Abracadabra. Make these illegal aliens disappear.
I'm here for it. Supported.
I got a text. I got a text. 1761. Said crowd control musicians. Dan, is that you? Oh, come on. Why are you doing that to me?
Shankalicious.
Yeah, everybody shanks occasionally. Reading's hard. It's hard. It's hard. So I did. It was a lot of doom and gloom that last break. Let me round it out with some positive news.
I'm here for
on the immigration front. HUD is only going to distribute materials in English moving forward. Oh, let's go, baby. This is because of Trump's executive order signed in March 1st, 2025. We are one people, united, and we will speak with one voice and one language to deliver on our mission of expanding housing that is affordable. The Department of Housing and Urban Development will cease providing materials in other languages other than English as part of the federal housing agency's move to carry out that executive order signed by President Trump, making English the United States official language. HUD Deputy Secretary Andrew Hughes, who's black, before you call this racist, by the way. It's not racist. It's just that's the language we speak. HUD Deputy Secretary Andrew Hughes said the message to employees that putting the new executive order in place will enhance social and economic integration. Per the New York Times, Hughes said the agency will cease having contracts for translation services for documents and communications, and that all materials, both in paper and online, in languages other than English, will be removed, saying we are one people, united, and we will speak with one voice and one language to deliver on our mission of expanding housing that is affordable, the message to employees read. He said that the agency would continue providing services to those with visual and hearing impairments and continue to follow other legal requirements. Local 476 of the American Federation of Government Employees, which represents HUD employees, wrote on Monday that Title IV of the Civil Rights Act requires federal agencies and grantees to provide meaningful access to people with limited English proficiency. HUD can't just throw that away with a memo. The union said that an executive order has been on the books since 2000, requires agencies to provide LEP access, and that courts and DOJ have upheld it for decades. HUD's English-only memo is not only discriminatory, they say, it's illegal. Civil rights law are still the law of the land. This will be challenged in court, and unions will fight back for both workers and communities. As this fight continues, we'll pay attention for it, and we'll bring you the latest updates right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast in 5 minutes. And right now in Tennessee, we are hearing from accused quadruple murderer suspect Austin Drummond for the first time since the days-long manhunt and arrest. He did an interview from jail in Obion County with News Channel 5's Nick Barris, claiming he was an undercover informant for the FBI to bring down drug dealers, crooked cops, and gang leaders, but his cover was blown. And then the four people were murdered, and he ran.
But they found out I was an informant, and I didn't know. I was afraid because I knew bad things happened. And I was afraid that because I was an informant, things would go wrong. Things would happen to me.
Drummond admitted he did wrong by running, but he says he was scared and claims he did not commit the murders. He says those four people he considered to be his family. But Drummond did not answer questions about who did kill the family and why the baby was abandoned 40 miles away, saying he's not ready to answer those questions just yet. Right now in North Carolina, Director of Emergency Management WWIII says flooding is the main concern, with Hurricane Erin expected to make its closest swing by the U.S. East Coast tomorrow morning.
This will be a longer duration event, with coastal flooding expected over several high tide cycles. We will see rain bands trailing Aaron that will also impact the area, already saturated soils across the area, which could lead to extended impacts.
Yeah, even though it'll be its closest swing by, it'll still be some 200 miles away from the coast. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand for my friends at Zero Res Nashville. If you need your carpets cleaned, you got to use Zero Res. Now, I've used Zero Res for years and years and years. When I was moving around in the early stages of my career, it's like I felt like I moved every year, and we would use Zero Res to clean the carpets before we got out of there because it was a cheap option, and we had to do it. And now I use Zero Res all the time because it's the cleanest option. I got 4 kids running around my house, and the way Zero Res cleans their carpets, it's with their exclusive ZR water. You're not going to find soap, you're not going to find harsh chemicals, and you're not going to find any residue, which means my carpets, my upholstery is going to look insanely clean, stay clean longer, and the kids can sprawl out on the floor, the dogs can roll around, and I don't have to worry about what kind of chemicals are in those fibers. And it's not just carpets. They do air ducts, they do tile, they do rugs, they do upholstery, they do the works. It's perfect for your back to school season when you're finally taking back the house after summertime. And right now in August, you can get 3 rooms cleaned for just $109 plus 20% off area rugs, upholstery, air ducts, and more. Just call Zero Res today, 615-535-9376. That's 615-535-9376, or you can book online, ZeroResNashville.com.
This is where he talks about you.
Talks about me?
Yeah. Aside from Hand, most of you are clearly intelligent, based in the real world type of people. He seems to be longing for a handmaiden type society. I predict he will be an extreme short timer.
Weird.
Odd. What are you at now? A couple years?
Yeah.
Again, didn't age well.
I love how he said, you guys are smart aside from Hand.
I know.
That's my favorite part.
Weather can change in an instant, and you need to be prepared for any outcome. That's why Generator Supercenter of Nashville will help keep your family safe and connected. We make buying a backup generator simple and easy, with financing options available, free in-home estimate, turnkey installations, no worry warranty, and most importantly, the monitoring and service of your fully installed generator. Come see us at our location in Nashville or visit us online. Generator Supercenter of Nashville. We serve all Middle Tennessee. $11:37, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? My name's Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by our friends at Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners. Why on earth would you need one of those?
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay.
That's a reason. BetterWater.com. BetterWater.com. I'm still waiting for them to say, all right, that's not funny anymore. And then I'll be like, all right, give it 2 weeks. It'll be funny again. I'm telling you.
It does its loops.
I'm waiting. I'm waiting.
Its loops.
They told me they liked it.
Good.
That's one of the things I asked.
They gotta like it because it's not going away.
I was like, I kind of started doing this without asking you guys. Do you think that's funny? And we do. That's perfect. Perfect. I thought you guys were based. Betterwater.com. All right, so we got a lot of stuff to get to. It is time for the infamous, the notorious, the unprecedented. This is the lightning round.
It's the lightning round with Chris Hand.
We do it this time, running through all the stories that wouldn't fill up an entire segment, all the stories we didn't have time to get to, and all the stories that you want to react to. 615-737-9986. If you've got any last-minute hot takes for the lightning round, you're more than welcome to join. 615-737-9986. Let's go to Robin in Springfield, kicking off the lightning round. Robin has a take on illegals driving. What's up, Robin?
Hey, Chris. I'm just curious. I know that ex-presidents, or I think I know, are protected against criminal prosecution.
Yes.
Seems like I remember that coming up, except for Donald Trump, of course.
Naturally.
And, yeah. And I'm just wondering, all these illegal people like this guy in Florida that came in during the Biden administration, if Biden, and besides the trucking companies and everything, but can Joe Biden actually be held civilly responsible for these people coming in and killing citizens? Like, that accident would have probably not happened had it been a citizen, whether or not they're American, but if it had been a citizen of any race or creed, but had been born and raised here, or at least educated and gotten a legit CDL,
Yeah.
that wouldn't have happened.
No, you're absolutely right. I don't know what they could do to hold them accountable civilly, but I think that you could expand that out. You could say that family that was the victim of the truck driver has a case. You could say that Rachel Marin's family has a case. You could say Jocelyn Nunguri's family or Lake and Riley.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm sure that there are people smarter than me looking into that, and I appreciate the call, Robin. I'll do some research. I'm not sure if you could hold them civilly accountable. Maybe you could. Mayorkas, maybe Biden. I'm not sure, to be perfectly honest with you. But I'll look into it. Got another story for you here in the lightning round. Oh, there it is. The storm was off in the distance. It was in the distance. So sometimes it takes a second to get here. That's okay. Do you know what season it is?
Not storm season.
Well, no, that's coming. Well, we were talking earlier, me and Mason off the air, like the high next week's going to be 82.
Bro.
The low is going to be 58. Like, we're getting into fall. Like, I'm ready for it.
So excited.
But you know what that means, right?
What does it mean?
It's booster season, baby.
Quick question, Meg, before we let you go. When should adults start getting the COVID vaccine booster shots, and when should we start getting the flu shots?
How about never? I'm not a medical doctor. Do your own research.
How about new?
Well, we are waiting on the COVID vaccines for sort of the regulatory go-ahead, and there is still some question about who exactly is going to be eligible and able to get a vaccine. But typically, as we head into the fall and COVID levels are rising nationally, there should be an updated COVID vaccine, especially for people over the age of 65. For flu, we'll also get an updated vaccine, and the recommendation is anytime before Halloween, typically closer into September and October, Wolf.
Let me know in the text line. You getting your booster? Let me know. Let's just crowdsource this thing. The YouTube chat. You guys getting a booster? Anybody?
You guys getting boosted?
Who's getting boosted? Me personally, if I was, I'm getting all the boosters. I'm going max vax. I want the J&J, the Moderna. I want what do they sell overseas? I want that one too.
Yeah, I paid $800 to fly over to Europe. Got all of my stamps.
Got
all my
everything,
stabs.
baby. I want it all. Give me
every
all the
jab.
Give me everything.
I filled out my bingo card for 2025.
Again.
Oh, like different things Trump said? No.
No.
Every vaccine.
I just want them all.
All of them.
I'm gonna get the shingles one.
Gotta catch them all.
Yeah, it's like Pokemon except with the vaccines. So, you guys in the YouTube chat, you got your booster? They already got it. They said. Everybody already got it, turns out. So we're good. This audience is covered. Great job, guys. Great job.
Phenomena never got the first COVID jab.
Oh, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Said he's probably going to skip the booster.
Oh, my gosh. I've never gotten jabbed, and I've never taken a PCR test. I don't do that stuff.
That's good.
I don't.
I think.
I think. I'm not a doctor.
It's pretty good.
I'm not a doctor.
Not a doctor.
Not a doctor.
Verified.
What I am, though, and I can speak on this. I am a recovering music DJ.
True.
And this leads us to our next story in the lightning round.
The next story in the what?
The lightning round. Donald Trump has been personally DJing at the Rose Garden patio.
Let's go.
Dude. So these videos were coming around last night, and so they made the brand new patio, which looks amazing. It's brilliant. It's the best patio ever. And Trump was DJing. Don't worry. I can see him sweating because he's worried about copyright issues on the YouTube stream. I'll stop it before we hit the copyright threshold. This is Trump DJing at the Rose Garden. A little fist pump, fight.
It's so good.
That wasn't the only one he played. He had to. He's running through the playlist. You know what I mean?
We've got to.
You got to check everything. So then he was playing some classics as well. Attached to that post from Caroline Levitt was the comment, "We're testing the speakers for what will be the greatest event in the history of the White House, President Trump."
Honestly, I don't see a better way to do so.
I don't either.
Because it could be somebody out there standing going, check, 1, 2.
The patio looks awesome.
Dude,
and
it looks great.
The amount of improvements that they're making to this White House is unprecedented.
You full screen that so they could see that a little better?
Yeah,
it looks really good.
It looks clean, man. It looks, golden umbrellas, and it looks great. That's the new patio out in the Rose Garden. The new American flags that have been put up by Donald Trump. We're gonna get the banquet hall paid for by Donald Trump. Then you see what he did in the Oval Office with all the gold, all the frames. So he brought in the Declaration of Independence.
Looks clean,
dude. He's cleaning that. He's classing up that joint.
It's a much needed overhaul.
I mean, especially the smell from the last administration. I'm not sure they've gotten all that out. To be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah, with Joe shuffling around,
That's it. I got another story for you in the lightning round. Have you seen Gavin Newsom and Kid Rock beefing on Twitter? Gavin Newsom's been doing this weird thing where he's like, they got the Governor Newsom press office. That's what they're calling it. It's the Governor Newsom press office, and they're like mimicking Trump because the left can't meme. They can't create anything unique. They just have to hop on whatever is current and try and morph that into their own thing. It never works. It never works. So they've been doing all this stuff with AI. Kid Rock wants you to support Gavin Newsom. Does he? Well, Kid Rock replied to that. And he said, the only support Gavin Newsom will get out of me is from D's. And if you're looking on the stream, you can read the last word.
Yeah.
Squirrel food.
Acorns, but broader.
Pistachios.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the kind of support you get from me. It's funny, though, Gavin Newsom using AI to gin up support for his presidential run. That's what all this is about. But if you remember, it was last year during the presidential election, as Governor Newsom is putting out AI deepfakes. I just want to remind you, Mays Moore put this video out on X. It was last year where Governor Newsom was saying we need to fight against deepfakes because it hurts democracy.
Deepfakes and manipulation of elections, that hurts democracy and the integrity of the system and trust. And we believe in truth and trust, and we think this law is sound and will be upheld in the courts.
Oh, yeah. We believe in truth and trust. I think that's the biggest lie I've ever heard Gavin Newsom say. What do you think? There's probably bigger ones. He slept with his best friend's wife, by the way, his campaign manager.
Jeez.
He's a slime ball. He's the slime ball of slime balls.
It's unfortunate when he's one of their best options.
He is. Maybe. There's like a poll going around. Dan was talking about it, and I don't believe it for a second, but it was like Newsom is edging out Vance, And then there's another poll that says Buttigieg is edging out Vance as well in the 2028 presidential run. And as soon as I saw the Buttigieg line, I went, into the trash it goes.
Yeah.
It's me, Pete Buttigieg, racist bridges, and I bought a baby. Oh, weird.
Bought a baby, eats a boy.
Bought a baby, it's a boy. And he has 0% support among black voters. 0. A goose egg. And I don't think the Democrat Party can win without support from black voters.
No.
Nope. They can't. They'll have transgender voter support, though. They will, especially after what Donald Trump did, which leads me to another story in the lightning round. You remember the transgender camp counselor? A listener sent me this. Shout out to, yeah, that's right, America Before Others on X. Remember the non-binary transgender biologist from Yosemite who hung a transgender pride flag from El Capitan? Do you remember that guy?
Some carry hate. We carry the largest trans pride flag to ever be flown in a national park and unfurled it on the side of El Cap to prove a point, that trans is natural. The Trump administration and transphobes would love to have you believe that being trans is unnatural, but species that can transition sexes can be found on every continent and in every ocean on planet Earth.
I don't like them putting chemicals in that water. Sorry, wrong thing. Sorry.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me, you're not that guy.
Fair. But I'm here with an update. The non-binary Yosemite biologist, which is hilarious on its face. You're a biologist and you're confused about human biology. Anyway, the Yosemite biologist, the man with the mustache and whatever else was going on in that video, was fired. They were fired for hanging that 55 by 35 foot flag from El Capitan. Jocelyn is now claiming to be a victim and is demanding to get the dream job back. Last week, I was fired from my dream job as a permanent park ranger with the NPS for practicing my First Amendment right. In May, I hung a trans flag on El Capitan that celebrated my acceptance of my identity. I hung the flag in my free time, off duty as a private citizen. I want my rights, and I want my career back. You know what, actually? Sad violin. We need more sad violin. Last week, I was fired from my dream job as a permanent park ranger with the NPS for practicing my First Amendment right. In May, I hung a trans flag on El Capitan that celebrated my acceptance of my identity. I hung the flag in my free time, off duty as a private citizen. I want my rights, and I want my career back. How about no? How about no? Yeah, to the unemployment line you go. Nothing of value was lost. No. It's 11:51. That does it for the lightning round. We'll check in with Chad Benson, see what he's got coming up on his show next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Did you see this? This guy is from India. He makes a rogue illegal U-turn and an SUV slams into the back of his truck, killing 3 people inside. The highways are littered with illegal alien truck drivers killing people. How do they get their licenses?
Well, he's in California. We are working with the federal government to extradite him back to Florida. He will face incredibly severe charges here, and then he will be deported. But I will tell you that where was the role of the company in all of this? I don't think this guy spoke English. He clearly didn't know what he was doing behind the wheel. And yes, you shouldn't be giving illegals driver's license. We don't allow that in Florida. California does. They've issued probably over 1 million licenses to illegals in recent years.
Democrats always say, if we could just save one life. Imagine how many lives we could save if we required all of the truck drivers out there to speak English and be citizens of America.
Let's talk about the Democratic frontrunner for mayor of Minneapolis, shall we? His name is Omar Fateh, and he held a big rally in Minneapolis. And I don't know if you can tell by the video, but there's a stunning lack of American flags and a stunning lack of English being spoken at this rally. Now, the reason Omar is the frontrunner is because the last mayor, Jacob Fry, wasn't woke enough.
As for cooperation with ICE, the answer is no.
This is a guy who actually cried at George Floyd's golden casket. Still not woke enough. Now, the uproar online led to some great questions from one Charlie Kirk. I want to know what you think about it in the comments. Charlie says, how are these people bettering America? Does it look like these people in Minneapolis are assimilating to American culture? And then we have to ask a very important question. What is an American?
Do-do, do-do.
11:57, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I'm Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. In studio with Chad Benson. What's up, Chad?
What's up, brother?
How you doing, man?
Got a haircut, right?
I
Looks
did.
sharp.
Yeah, thank you.
Sharp dressed man. You going to do a video later?
Maybe.
Probably.
Maybe. Probably.
You guys go check out. What is it? What do you
Chris
have?
Hand on air on YouTube.
Okay, is that what it is?
That's where I've been putting a lot of stuff, yeah.
Okay, cool. Just want to make sure.
But no, I mean, we're doing it. I got the studio all set up. I'm going to be doing my show, what is it, next week?
Yeah, next week. Because
Monday
the TV
and Wednesday from the home studio. So I'm very excited about that.
That's cool.
It was like, dude, I was like messing with camera settings last night.
Nice.
So Joe Bob, who hosts Turning Point tonight on Real America's Voice, I think he's annoyed with me. I'm like, I have no idea what this means.
You just
I'm just rapid firing texts to him. He helped me kind of put this whole studio together. I'm like, dude, what the hell does this mean? What does this mean?
I'm pushing buttons, man. Am I still there?
Well, and then we're doing the lighting last night.
Yeah.
Joe Bob is a bit tanner than I am, if you catch my drift.
Yeah.
So he's telling me these light settings. I'm like, dude,
those are so hard.
But I'm like, you're making me look like a pale Smurf.
Which is not the look you're going for.
And I said, bro, you're just a little bit more tan than I am. So I think that you can do a little bit more blue light than my skin tone allows.
So I know my uncle and I, when we do our live podcast, his camera sucks and he always looks like he has jaundice. He always laughs like, dude, fix your light. I can't. You look like you have jaundice, man.
It's like that's what I'm stuck between. I'm stuck between looking like my liver's failing me or I'm commingling with Smurfs.
And all it takes is one thing, and then next thing you know, you're playing with the lights again because you're like, oh, that's a good one. But no, what about this one? Does it get better? Oh, never going to happen.
It never ends.
What'd you talk about today?
We talked about a bunch of stuff. We talked about the Russia-Ukraine peace deal and the media's reaction to it. It went from last week, we're going to start World War III, to this week, Trump can't get a peace deal done.
And you know who's the one who's come out? Hillary. Hillary's like, that's a good thing. He did a good job. That's what you're supposed to do. Like, she came out and she's like, I think that's, yeah. Because you got to talk to the person who started the war.
She's also thinking, please don't arrest me.
So,
please.
Yeah,
no, Trump is doing good things. I swear. I've been saying this all along. Trump's been pretty solid.
So she's never worried about getting arrested. You know that. Because every time I see him, they're always laughing and joking. He ain't going to arrest her. He just wants to pull the strings and have some fun.
Unless we get some accountability, everything is failure. So I was talking about, Tulsi Gabbard, 37 intelligence officers had their security clearances revoked. But she's done a great job exposing all this stuff, but now it goes to Bondi. And if Bondi can't get arrests and can't get prosecutions, then it's a failure.
Yeah.
We got to keep pushing in the right direction and hope for the right results, but unless Bondi gets it done,
and
all
I don't
that
have
work
a lot
that
of faith in
Gabbard
her.
did is a failure. I know, I'm torn.
I don't. I have I thought she was going to be great. She's going to have to figure something. But also, don't reach on something because you're so worried.
Yep.
And do something where, like, I'm going to go for somebody, and you're not going to get that.
It's a bigger failure if they go after prosecuting somebody and don't get a conviction.
Absolutely.
Than if they don't go after him at all. So I agree with that. But, yeah, you got to get something done. Chad's in next. It's 12 o'clock. This is Super Talk 99.7 WTN.